Let me talk to you.
The biggest icon in wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me talk to you.
Welcome. We are back for Let Me Talk to You, episode number 14. My name is Frankie Fresco. Everybody knows me as Fresco Music. And of course, my brother, DiTrapio. What's going on, bro?
Hello, everybody. Another day, another blessing. Hope everyone had a good weekend. How about you, sir? How was your weekend?
It was good, man. We had a lot of things going on this past weekend. Had a DJ gig here and there, and then did some parlays. I don't know if we have a guest. Are we gonna have a guest today? I highly doubt it. I think the guest might have went to the Heat game, but
Let's see.
if the guest does, maybe he tunes in live from the Heat game. You never know. We'll see. We'll find out. I sent our guest the link, so maybe he drops in, maybe he doesn't. We'll just have to find out. But either way, thank you guys for tuning in. As you may know, it's always a pleasure to be here every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Don't forget to hit the like and don't forget to subscribe. And let's get started. And let's give you the breakdown. Let's give you the rundown of what we're going to talk about. Of course, we're going to start with NXT. Vengeance happened this past weekend, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the whole drama with The Rock and Cody, because there is some type of connection with The Rock's daughter in NXT, so that's why we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about the NFL, the Miami Dolphins adding some guys out there, some defensive guys left and right, so that should be a good topic. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Miami Heat. The Heat are playing tonight. Hopefully they by the time what was the score? I know they started at 7:30, so I haven't tuned in, but I'm pretty sure maybe the Heat are actually maybe they're up right now. Let's see. They are playing at home, so if Miami 24, are we winning? Yeah, we're winning. So we're playing San Antonio, so we should win that game. Got a couple parlays. Do you got a couple parlays for tonight's game?
I actually do, yeah.
Maybe we'll share our parlays. I don't know yet. And maybe if our guest comes, he would give us the inside scoop of parlays, but maybe not. I don't know. Our guest. And then one of the biggest topics right now is going to be our soccer segment. We actually have a lot to talk about. A lot of things happened this past weekend that I'm excited about. So we should be excited, especially for South Florida, because we got some good news this past weekend when it came to the World Cup. But enough of me blabbering. Let's go ahead and start with our first topic of the night. And that is, of course, wrestling. And it is obviously NXT Vengeance. It happened this past Sunday. I was tuned in. I think all of us were tuning in. And ladies and gentlemen, we finally had happen. Carmelo turns our trick. Talk to me, Nick. What happened, bro? Why did he do it, bro? Why did he turn on our boy Trick Williams, man?
Hey, man. You can see the hostility being built for quite some time now, so it was only a matter of time until Carmelo came and, had to do what he had to do. He felt like he crossed the line, and it finally happened. At one point I was like, man, when is it gonna happen? And then when it finally happened, I was like, oh man, it finally happened. It was an entertaining move. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now how he's approaching himself with the crowd, everyone's been screaming. I mean, yesterday everyone was booing him. It was wild. They didn't even want to hear anything from his side of the story. He was like, boo. So they were just going ham on him. But it's done, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Absolutely. And so let's start a little bit with how this all happened, right? And it first started with the first match of Vengeance, which was the Dusty Rhodes classic tag team tournament classic that was between, we have a new name for these two guys, right? We haven't been calling them that, but the Wolf Dogs, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. Their new name,
Wolf
Wolf
dogs. Yeah.
Dogs, right?
Mhm.
And then they obviously defeated Trick and Carmelo. And at that time, Carmelo was part acting that he was friends with Trick. It was a close match. It was very entertaining. I think that match actually delivered. The crazy part, Nick, I don't know if you saw this, was that there was a part where Braun Breaker was thrown into the ropes, and
Oh. Mhm.
his head got caught between the top rope. It actually cut him in the front and it cut him in
Wow.
the back as well. And it was because the ropes weren't tight enough. So that was one thing that actually did happen in that match. And they actually kind of poked fun of it last night, the Wolf Dogs, but that didn't stop Braun Breaker and, of course, Carmelo from going ahead and I'm sorry, the Wolf Dogs from going ahead and beating Carmelo and Trick on the tag team and obviously winning that opportunity to now challenge for the tag team belts. So them winning the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic was something of what we mostly expected. And I remember Nick, remember he said that it could go two ways, and I thought it was going to be Carmelo like going ahead and um in some type of way upset with Trick because Trick was gonna probably hit him or something or do something where it would mess up and then Carmelo would get pinned. That didn't happen. And then the other, and I think your option was that they were gonna go ahead and win both. So Trick was gonna win the tag team classic one, and then eventually he was gonna win the fight against Dragunov. So unfortunately, neither one of them happened.
Nope. No.
But you know the War Dogs did win, so that's one thing that did happen. The second fight they had is Dijak versus Joe Gacy. Now, this was a no DQ match, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This match was okay. This was probably one of the ones that I wasn't too, into it. It was a couple of like just some mistakes. It was kind of hard to watch it. It wasn't my favorite match of the night, but it was kind of it was okay. And then after that, you actually had the family defeat OTM. I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. I am not a fan of the family. So I didn't watch that match. I kind of just dozed off after that one. I was tuning in. I think I was watching the Grammys at that time. So I just tuned into the Grammys for that match and then came back to it. But when I came back, this was the match I wanted to see, and they delivered. And that was Lyra Valkyria defeating Roxanne Perez
Wow.
and Lola Vice coming in taking advantage, using her breakout tournament contract win to cash in and make it a triple threat match. Nick, what you think about that? What you thought about Lola Vice making it interesting out there and making it a three-way instead of just Lyra and Roxanne going one-on-one?
I didn't think she was gonna go ahead and use what she was able to use, which was the contract. But
Yeah, the breakout
hey,
contract.
but if she sees this as the opportunity, hey, why not? It's a triple threat. That's pretty cool. It's gonna be nice. Which is this for the next pay per view or is this gonna be for the next show?
No, this happened on Sunday. So what happened was Roxanne was
I didn't watch like half of Vengeance.
So what happened was Lyra was fighting against Roxanne Perez for Lyra was defending her belt, and then during the match, remember Lola Vice had the breakout contract that she won. So it's kind of
Mhm.
like Money in the Bank, kind of the
Yeah.
briefcase, same thing.
Mhm.
So she was able to cash it in, and she was able to go ahead and make it a three-way. So that match ended up being a three-way, a fatal three-way instead of just Lyra and Roxanne. Thankfully, Lyra did win. She still won, which I figured she would. But this was a good way for Lola to actually get people to see her. I know they've been pushing
Definitely.
her and they like her a lot. So, and actually, she actually fought yesterday as well, against Roxanne. So they're pushing Lola Vice a lot, and I think it's cool that they are pushing her. Obviously, she lost on the pay per view, and I believe she lost yesterday as well, if I'm not mistaken. And then
Dang.
the other fight, the other two fights, obviously, was Obafemi. He defeated Dragon Lee, so he still became the North American champion. He still hold on to that belt. And then, of course, Trick lost to Dragunov with Carmelo eventually. Um, betraying him. And if you guys didn't get to catch the pay-per-view, basically, Carmelo kind of was trying to get in front of Dragunov's face while they were outside of the ring, and then Dragunov pushed him off. And then Trick was on the stairways, the metal stairways, and then he landed on Trick's left leg. So then all of a sudden, Carmelo was like, "Oh my god, I can't man, my bad." But uh, at the end of the day, Dragunov put he put Trick Williams back inside the ring, and once he put Trick inside the ring, he was able to deliver. They both kind of tried to do their main moves, and then obviously Dragunov was able to connect, and Trick wasn't. And then, you know, throughout the fight, Trick was, obviously showing signs of his leg, like he was like, "Oh, I'm hurting" the whole time. And then at the end, once he lost, that's when Carmelo came in. Carmelo was like, "Look, bro, we're bros for life. Don't worry about it. You get through this." And Trick was like, "All right, cool." Turns his back, and then boom, right there, Carmelo turns on him.
Yep.
And then
Great
all of a
moment.
sudden,
Very great moment.
you now have Carmelo Hayes as a heel. And then obviously, like my brother said last night, he came out on NXT, and he initially came out and he fooled everybody. He was like, "Hey, it's not the right time." So he just walked out, which was cool. I like that about NXT last night. And then obviously he came at the end and he explained to everybody the reason he wanted to go ahead and move on from that relationship, citing the fact that he and Trick Williams, he made Trick Williams, and Trick betrayed him because he wanted the NXT belt, and that should have not been his belt. That's Carmelo's belt. So that's kind of like the route that they went. We're gonna find out what else tends to happen now with Trick. Trick was not there last night. Obviously, he was still aka recovering from his injury. But on a side note, a good thing is Chase U actually has made a comeback, and I forgot to mention to you guys. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but Chase U finally, they were about to shut down, and they finally resurrected. And the reason they resurrected was because they went ahead and they were able to do an all-female calendar. Hell yeah, a calendar of all Chase U women. So that has been a seller. I don't know if they're gonna actually sell that to the fans. I guess we gotta see. I thought they were, but I didn't see anything showing that. I would have to look and see if they're actually selling Chase U calendars to the actual fans. Maybe I'll while we're talking, I'll probably check it in and see if they are. But Chase U has made a comeback, and Chase U has not shut down because of the simple fact that they were able to sell the calendars and gather the funds to survive. Now with that,
That's so
now
funny.
let's shift a little bit over to another thing that did happen this past weekend on Friday, and it was basically the return of The Rock, and The Rock is now possibly headlining WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, and now you have Cody Rhodes, who's actually stepping aside, giving his spot to Roman Reigns, right? I'm sorry, to The Rock. And now we have a lot of fans who actually are supporting Cody Rhodes and are chanting out there that Rocky sucks. So the reason we bring this up is because, if you guys don't know, Ava is actually the general manager now of NXT. Nick, you asked me last time, hey, this guy, what was his name?
William Regal.
William Regal. The reason William Regal was in NXT was because William Regal was giving her like the tips on how to be a good general manager that night. So moving forward, because she was going to be that. So now that this whole Cody, Roman, and Rock situation that is happening, now all of a sudden, Ava, who is The Rock's daughter, was starting to get death threats, man. So
Man,
she had to
crazy.
shut down her Twitter account. So what do you think about that, Nick? What do you think about Ava having to shut down her Twitter account because of the simple fact that she was getting death threats because of her dad and this whole, wrestling drama?
Well, before I answer those questions, you're lagging just a tiny bit. I don't know if maybe you noticed, but just letting you know.
Okay, it's good to know.
I mean, when it comes to death threats, man, that's a little bit it's kind of reaching, man. But I mean, I know people are upset on the whole decision thing between Rock, Roman, and Cody, but there are adjustments that they feel like is gonna be good. And this has been a very long storyline between Roman and Cody, but you're also adding in a lot of history between Rock and Roman. So if they got a headline, so be it. I guess this is like their kind of like break the glass, press the emergency button type of move.
Hmm.
And they're just gonna roll with it. And then eventually down the line in another important pay-per-view, Cody will probably have the shot and then probably lose. And then Roman will continue holding the championship because that's pretty much what's gonna happen. Um
Yeah.
it's gonna be like that. I don't see anything else. I don't see
What?
The Rock losing. And like I said, having her daughter being the general manager, it's it's a very interesting move. Kind of shows you two things: either one, family and connections talk when you're when you're a big part of WWE, and on top of that, I mean, it's very interesting why she would take that role. How old is his daughter, by the way?
I
She's
mean,
like what?
she must be in her 20s probably. I would have to look.
For being a GM role, I mean, it's an interesting perspective.
Uh,
I
she's
don't know.
she's 22.
I don't know how long she would continue on this role. I think she would work on more on her, wrestling, and then let's see what happens from there.
Well, I think it was a way for them to kind of like bring her slowly into the wrestling world. And it just sucks that a lot of people do take wrestling a little bit too serious. But that happens with sports, Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just doesn't realize the difference between sports and entertainment, and then obviously real life. So it's a little bit disappointing that the wrestling fans were sending her death threats, but
Hmm.
hopefully, the wrestling community realizes that, hey man, this is all for entertainment as well. This is not life or death. So
Yep.
we shouldn't take it that extreme.
Yeah.
um she was at the show yesterday, and obviously she's still continuing. I guess she must have gotten just too many, and I mean the best thing you could do is probably do that. Just go ahead and shut your account, and then eventually you could bring it back once this whole Cody Roman Rock drama gets resolved. Now, FYI, tomorrow is the press conference live in Las Vegas, so we're gonna find out what happens, if there's any twist, or if they decide to do something different, or if they're just gonna stick with it and just be Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania. Either way, it should be fun and it should be entertaining.
Definitely. Yep.
But now let's jump, and we're jumping now to what we enjoy to talk about, and that is the Miami Dolphins talk. This is what we wanted. And tell me, Nick, am I still lagging a little bit, or am I doing a little bit better?
You're being more consistent. It's getting better now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So one of the things we wanted to talk about when it comes to the Miami Dolphins is all these hires, man. We hired a whole bunch of new guys, brother, on the
Hmm.
defensive side. So the Miami Dolphins hired Anthony Weaver as a defensive coordinator. They hired Joe Barry as the linebackers coach. And then just a couple of hours ago,
Yep.
we went ahead and hired Ryan Crow as an outside linebacker coach. Nick, talk to me, man. What do you think about all these hires? And do you think this is a good situation for the Dolphins, or is this something that we should be concerned now that we have a whole bunch of new coaches on the defensive side?
Well, when it comes to these type of adjustments and changes, you know they're gonna come with what's going on with the defensive coordinator with Anthony Weaver. He's gonna bring in his guys. The coaching tree before is either gonna stick around or may just move on to something, maybe a promotion or maybe a lateral move elsewhere. And so Anthony Weaver right now he probably has his men. You look at it, it's pretty consistent what he's trying to get. And from the looks of it, I've heard good things of Weaver. I've heard that he moves pretty well. I know there's this weird narrative that he didn't get the opportunity to be a defensive coordinator for the Ravens. How come? However, if you look at the people he's been involved with when it comes to his other role, which was linebackers coach,
Yeah.
he did really well, and he has a lot of experience for a young guy. And he's that players coach. And when I mean by players coach, he just connects more. The team is gonna kind of relate to him more since he likes to participate in drills, as you saw when he was in the Ravens. And so adding these new other coaches. It's just part of the process, and we'll do well with him. I think he will take over. It's gonna probably be another slow start in the season to kind of get everything adjusted, or maybe not. Maybe the style of play that he is does mesh well with the players that we will have starting the year of 2024. So, but what about you? How do you feel about the adjustments?
Look, I think Anthony Weaver is going to be good for us. I think he seems like he's coming from a great background when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. So it's, they had a great defense. So I don't see why he shouldn't succeed in the Miami Dolphins defense. My only concern is, again, what type of talent are we bringing back? If we lose Christian Wilkins, is Zach Sealer going to be able to deliver the same way? Today, actually, we got some good news, was that Jalen Phillips finally was able to remove his boot and he was finally walking without a cast.
Wow.
So that was good news. So we got to see how he eventually comes back. And then obviously Bradley Chubb, that's another guy, that's another defensive end that unfortunately suffered an injury towards the end of the season, and that could actually follow through to the next season, and then we might run into some not having him at the beginning of the season. So we need to find some type of replacement in the meantime for him. And then you got the other notable free agents, Andrew Van Ginkel, who was very, very crucial in helping us when Jalen Phillips was out. What are we going to do with Xavier Howard? What are we going to do with Cam Smith? Is he going to deliver? Is the second year rookie going to be able to come and be as productive as Xavier Howard? We have yet to find out. What about Jerome Baker? Is he going to take lower money to stay with us, or are we going to let him walk? We have so many.
Patrick Queen, sir.
We have so many, but yeah, that's another thing they were talking about. They were talking about, because of Anthony Weaver's background with some of these Baltimore Ravens, maybe he's able to get some of these guys to come over to the Miami Dolphins for not that much money, and that'll help us. So it's just gonna depend on how much the Dolphins are gonna look like on the defensive side, because at least initially, Zach Sealer, Jalen Ramsey, David Long Jr., those guys are for sure gonna help us. But then you got the other guys. I didn't even mention Deshaun Elliott, Brandon Jones, the safeties. We don't know that. And then the other thing we didn't know about Anthony Weaver was, if you look at when he was the defensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, he had a lot of single man safety back there. So he relied heavily on one safety back there. I don't know if that was
Because you
just
disguise the pressures. That's why.
yes, but he also relied heavily on that safety. So if you're gonna do that type of strategy with the Dolphins, you got to make sure Javon Holland is at 100%, and obviously Javon Holland is coming off an injury as well.
True, but I think the way I'm not too familiar with the Ravens safety, but he has this role that he was kind of placed in random areas, not random areas, but areas where that they're not used to, and they would disguise pressures, and then they'll make maybe a blitz on him, or maybe they'll have him do some sort of other free roaming is how I could best explain it. And I think
Yes.
Javon Holland free roamed a lot well with the Brian Flores, and even maybe the first time with Josh Boyer, but with Vic Fangio, he was more in a stationary position, so he didn't have enough room to kind of create, the type of uh, playmake playmaking abilities that Javon Holland can do. So hopefully, with Weaver having to use that kind of same concept, I think Javon Holland would just be fine.
Like I said, man, I think Anthony Weaver is not bad for the team. I just want to see what kind of staff we're gonna have, as far as our players is concerned, for him to work with. And if we're able to retain some of these guys, or we're able to bring out and get some drafts that will work for us, then I think I think he's gonna do fine. I don't think he should be anything different. I've heard you say multiple times the defense wasn't the problem, and I feel the same way. I don't think the defense was such a bad situation. Vic Fangio did enough. Josh Boyer did enough as well. Technically, he did. So those guys were not my biggest. The defense wasn't my biggest concern. For me, the concern has always been the offense, and it's only been the offense because of how eventually they did against quality teams, and then how eventually they did in the playoffs. That's the only reason why, when it came to the Miami Dolphins, I was always concerned about the offense. But with that being said, though, I do want to go ahead and speak a little bit about some of the areas of opportunity. And with that being said, I know we're going very quickly, but I do want to jump into this particular segment of the show. I hope I'm not lagging as much, but ladies and gentlemen, this is the time that we like to go ahead
Let's
and
go.
talk our segment, Speak the Unspoken, of course.
Let's go.
So, on Speak the Unspoken, a lot of you guys, I don't know if you guys went ahead and you realized my conversation with Sean Stanley last night, and we were getting a little bit heated because of the simple fact that we had some disagreement when it comes to the Miami Dolphins and who to blame, and I said I was going to go in on Chris Greer. And the reason I said I was going to go in on Chris Greer was because I felt that Chris Greer is one of the reasons why the Miami Dolphins are failing. So let me say this. Number one, Chris Greer has not done a bad job. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to retract a little bit and say that he hasn't done a bad job. I did my homework. Let me give you the information I found. So Chris Greer was hired January 4th of 2016. That was also the first year of one of our most horrendous coaches we had, Mr. Adam Gase, which I didn't know that. I thought Adam Gase was before Chris Greer, but he was during Chris Greer. So Chris Greer and him came at the same time. The first move that Chris Greer did was he traded the first round pick, the number 8th overall pick, which we had in 2000 and I guess it would be 2016. And in that trade, we got Kiko Alonso from the Eagles, Byron Maxwell, and a first round pick, which was eventually the 13th round pick. So we dropped from 8 to 13. If you look at that trade, that wasn't bad. It wasn't. Overall, it wasn't. I always thought Kiko Alonso was fine. He had his areas that he needed some improvement, but he wasn't bad at all. And Byron Maxwell, he was serviceable. We had a couple things. But the reason this trade wasn't bad is because that number 1 first round pick, that 13 overall, ended up being Mr. Laramie Tunsil. And Mr. Laramie Tunsil, eventually, you know what happened, became the Tyreek trade. So in 2016, and this is my homework I did here, Chris Greer picked Laramie Tunsil, Xavier Howard, Kenyon Drake, Leonte Carroll, Jakeem Grant, Jordan Lucas, Brandon Doherty, and Thomas Duarte. We had 8 picks that 2016. If I look at those names, I would probably say we hit on a couple. Tunsil, Howard, Drake, Jakeem Grant. Those guys all kind of hit. So I would say it was a successful draft. Of course, you're not going to hit on all of them, but I respect that. 2017, we only had 7 picks. And this one I would probably say was the worst for Chris Greer. He picked with the first pick was Charles Harris. Second pick was Raekwon McMillan. Third, Cordell Tankersley. Number 5, we didn't have a 4th. We had a 5. We had 2 5s. Isaac Asiata. Devon Gottschall, Bennett Taylor was the 6th, and Isaiah Ford, number 7th. And obviously, out of all those guys, probably Devon Gottschall was the most decent one. I know we used Tankersley a couple of times, and I know Isaiah Ford was with us, but Isaiah Ford didn't do that much for the Dolphins. Then we move on to 2018, and in 2018, we had 8 picks again. So notice the trend. We had 8, we had 7, we had 8. So we were going fine. I didn't mind this from Chris Greer. That year, we picked up Mika Fitzpatrick. That was also the first year we actually got a tight end, Mr. Mike Gesicki. Third pick was Jerome Baker. Number 4th pick, which surprised me, was Durham Smythe, a second tight end. So on 2018, we picked 2 tight ends. Keep that in mind. Number 4th pick, we had 2 4s. So we had Kalen Barrage. 6 was Cornell Armstrong. 7 was Quentin Pauly, and number 7 was Jason Sanders. So I even picked up a kicker that year, and it wasn't bad. We traded Mika Fitzpatrick because obviously of Brian Flores. We had Gesicki, we had Baker. Kalen Ballage wasn't that bad. Jason Sanders and Durham Smythe, which surprisingly is still on the team. Remember, That was the first year we actually got any tight end, and we got two, one in the second round and one in the fourth. Moving on, 19. We had 6 picks. Notice the trend: 8, 7, 8, 6. Watch what's happening. Christian Wilkins. We had Michael Dieter. Number 3, Andrew Van Ginkel. Number 6, Isaiah Price. 7, Chandler Cox. And 7, Miles Gaskin. Then in 2020, which was the year that Chris Greer had the most draft picks, he had 11 draft picks that year.
My lord.
The first one was Tua. Second, we had 3 number ones. So we had Tua, Austin Jackson, and Noah Iganagmi. Number 2, we had 2 second-round picks, Robert Hunt and Raekwon Davis. Number 3, we picked up Brandon Jones. Number 4, Solomon Kinley. Number 5, Jason Strawbridge. Number 6, Curtis Weaver. We had 2 number 5. So Curtis Weaver was the second of the 5th round. Number 6 was Blake Ferguson, and number 7 was Malcolm Perry. So that was our high note. Here's where things start to kind of fall in where I'm not liking Chris Greer. 2021, he had 7 picks, right? He picked up Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, Liam Eichenberg, Hunter Long, Larnell Coleman, and Gerald Dukes. Not a bad draft. And that's why I actually went ahead and said, you know what? He hasn't been doing bad. But now in 2022, we dropped to 4 draft picks. And that also means because of the Tyreek trade, right? And keep in mind, there's no tight end being picked in 2021, no tight end picked in 2020, no tight end picked in 2019. Again, we've already lasted 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to go to 4th year. Our 4th year with 2022. Channing Tindall, Easy E, Cameron Good, and Skylar Thompson. We only had 4 picks. And finally, last year, we only had 4 picks again, probably because of the fact that we lost some picks because of Stephen Ross and also because of the trade with Bradley Chubb. Cam Smith, number 2, Devon Achane, number 3, Elijah Higgins, which is another tight end, number 6, and Ryan Hayes, number 7. In 8 years that Mr. Chris Greer has been with the Miami Dolphins, he has only drafted 4 tight ends. So 4 tight ends in 8 years. I want you guys to remember that because a lot of you guys are saying, hey, the Miami Dolphins need to draft a tight end. They need to draft a tight end. But he's only done it half of the time that he's been here. During his tenure, because I looked this up as well, I looked to see what the tight ends were for the Miami Dolphins. Back in 2016, these were our tight ends. You had Marquise Gray, Deion Sims, Jordan Cameron, and Thomas Duarte. 2017, we had Anthony Fasano, AJ Derby, Marquise Gray, Julius Thomas. You guys remember him, right? 2018, Nick O'Leary, AJ Darby, Mike Gesicki, Tanner McVay, and Durham Smythe. 2019, Mike Gesicki, Nick O'Leary, Durham Smythe, Clive Warford. 2020, Durham Smythe, Adam Shaheen, Chris Myrick, and Mike Gesicki. 2021, Durham Smythe, Adam Shaheen, Hunter Long, Mike Gesicki, Seaton Carter. 2022, Durham Smythe, Hunter Long, Mike Gesicki, Tanner Connor, and Seaton Carter. And then this year, 2023, Julian Hill, Tyler Croft, Durham Smythe, and Tanner Connor. Now, here's my rant, and here's what I wanted to go with Chris Greer. Number 1, if you look at the talent that we had at tight end, it's never been productive. The only quality tight end that we basically had was Mike Gesicki, but we didn't have this guy actually block. So in some of these formations that obviously Mike McDaniel wants to use, he wasn't even out there. But Mike Gesicki was technically our best tight end. If we're looking at the teams that have made it to the Super Bowl, I looked this up. 2017, the Pats and the Falcons were in the Super Bowl. Who was their tight ends? Gronk and Austin Hopper. 2018, the 2 tight ends that made it to the Super Bowl, Hurts and Gronk, which was the Eagles and the Patriots. 2019, again, the Patriots, Gronk, again. The Los Angeles Rams, Gerald Everett, who actually was starting to improve compared to what we had before. 2020, Travis Kelsey and Kittle. 2021, it was the Chiefs and Tampa. Again, Travis Kelsey, and in Tampa they had Gronk and Cameron Brate. 2022, the Rams, Tyler Higbee, and the Bengals had a CJ Uzoma. And CJ Uzoma is not bad. I looked at his stats, and neither was Tyler Higbee. 2023, the Chiefs and the Eagles, Travis Kelsey and Dallas Goedert. 2024, this year, Travis Kelsey and George Kittle. All these guys, when I looked up their stats, were averaging double yards, double figures, double digits when it comes to average yards per catch. What does this tell me? That if you want to be successful and you want to make it to a Super Bowl or you want to be a contender, you have to be able to draft a tight end. And something that Chris Greer has not been able to show and prove to us is the fact that he does not know how to draft tight ends and doesn't want to get tight ends. Now, you could come and give me all this crap about him trying to get Darren Waller and, they wanted to draft pick Laporta last year. Look, at the end of the day, you need a tight end in order for you to make it to the Super Bowl. It's being proven. If you look at all these guys were averaging pretty much double figures when it came to receptions. All these guys had received at least more than 60 yards, 60 catches of receptions throughout that season. That means that all these tight ends were very, very vital in their offense. Something the Miami Dolphins don't have. So my rant today is, Chris Greer, get your shit together and draft a tight end. Because if we don't get a tight end, we're not going to improve. And I don't want you to stick with Julian Hill, and I don't want no damn Durham Smythe. Durham Smythe has been with us since 2018. This guy has been with us all this time. Literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years with Durham Smythe. And for the Dolphins to actually have the audacity of making Durham Smythe the starter as a tight end this past year, man, I don't know what to think about that. I think that's a slap in the face to us fans. Get your shit together, Chris Greer. Draft a tight end or pick a legit tight end. One of the two. Either you draft one that's going to work out, or you go in free agency and get yourself a tight end. Because without a tight end, we ain't going to no damn Super Bowl. We're not even winning a playoff game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, speak the unspoken.
Oof.
Talk to me, Nick.
Facts.
What do you think? What did you think, sir?
Facts on facts. I mean, you showed everybody that right now, the system, there's a hybrid role that you must need. And it's that tight end position. You gotta have that hybrid role. I think the system is helping that position big time right now. And time in and season in and season out, we've been noticing that tight ends have been very involved, not only on the blocking scheme, but also on the catch and run, having to get those tough touchdowns within the end zone or in the red zone. So yeah, man, I think Chris Greer needs to focus more on tight ends, to be honest with you. And then when it comes to his draft class or classes, hey, it's been up and down. I'm not gonna tampoco give him kudos. He has hit, but I think there could have been a more of an improvement, especially knowing that we had 8, 9, 10, 11 picks. Like, man, that's tough to hear that.
But you're not gonna hit on all of them. So that's why I want to go ahead and not knock Chris Greer. But what did concern me too was the fact that on the last 2022 and 2023, man, he only has 4 picks. He had 4 picks in 2022 and 4 picks in 2023. I don't know how many picks do we have this year? I think we have 6, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, 5 or 6.
So it's concerning that the last 2 years he's given away draft picks, and of course you got the Ross situation. So I'm not. That's 2 picks that we lost. They lost the 3rd round and the 1st round, but still, those are picks that we could have used to get some other quality, hopefully it would have been some quality backups in order for us to make sure that we contribute to the starters that we have. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about, which I was telling Sean, and Sean didn't agree with me, but I have to point it out again, is the fact that people say Chris Beard brought the talent. You're right, he did, but he did also bring injury-prone players. You know, we knew Jalen Phillips suffered of injuries in college. Why? Because he was injured when he was in Notre Dame. So he's tend to get injured. Bradley
I think he went. I think he went to UCLA and then
actually it might have been UCLA. Yes, not Notre Dame. I think it was UCLA. I know.
UCLA and then
Yeah,
because he
correct.
suffered multiple concussions in UCLA. I
You're right.
believe.
You're right. You're right. It wasn't
And
Notre Dame. It was
then
UCLA.
he went to UM and he balled out in UM.
Okay, so UCLA. Then he brought in Jalen Waddle. What did Jalen Waddle do? He had an injury on that national championship game, or in those play. I don't remember if it was on the national championship game that he injured that leg, or if it
I
was
think it
right
was just.
before.
I think it was right before. It was one of those last game of the
Yeah, I think it
seasons.
was right before because I remember he played with it hurt, and people were
Correct.
questioning, saying, "Hey, why is he playing on an injured
Correct. He
foot?"
even caught a pass. Got to give him that. He had enough.
And
Game
I remember,
tolerance.
you and me were having that discussion, saying when you asked me, "Hey, what did you think about um Jalen Phillips?" And I said, "Look, I like Jalen Phillips, but be careful because Jalen Waddle, be careful with Jalen Waddle because we don't know how that injury is going to work out." And then, if you remember, there was like a little screenshot, like a photo of him, and he had like something like a brace on his foot, on his ankle,
It
because
was
he was.
that I believe it was his, either it was a brace or the way his pants were tailored. It revealed one side more than the other, and people were speculating a whole bunch of stuff, even including us. We were
Yes,
going through all of it too. We were like,
yes,
"Well, are we getting Waddle or whatever?" And we're like,
yes.
I mean, you liked the pick the Waddle. I was iffy at first. I was like,
No, but I also was upset. I was questioning if that guy was gonna last because of his injuries, because of that injury. So look, if you look at, you got obviously Jalen Phillips, that guy injured in college. You got Jalen Waddle, who got injured in college. You got Tua Tagovailoa, who got injured in college. You got Teron Armstead, who actually is injury prone with the Saints. You also went ahead and you brought in Jalen Ramsey. Now, Jalen Ramsey, he's usually reliable. I don't think Jalen Ramsey suffered any injuries. I'm trying to think of any other players that he might have brought that were injury prone. I think I'm missing one more.
mm,
Let me see. I'm trying to look at and see as the on the whatchamacallit, on the drafts, but I don't see anybody else he might have picked
I don't think
who
of
was kind of
anybody.
injury prone.
But the two biggest ones is Armstead and this guy. Um Armstead.
Teron Armstead he was one that he brought
And
that was injury prone, and the
then
Connor.
two. Nah, Connor Williams was pretty steady. It was very freakish what happened to him this year.
Okay,
Jalen Phillips, like you said.
Jalen, Tua, and then Jalen Waddle too. Those four
Uh,
guys, and I'm thinking of the cornerbacks. Obviously, the Xavier
X
Howard.
X was pretty consistent, but he didn't play full seasons either. Jerome Baker was pretty consistent. What's up, Sean? I think Jerome Baker was pretty consistent until unfortunately this year, but there has been some injury bugs here and there, so it sucks.
So if you look, Bradley Chubb was the other one. That's the other one that he brought that was injury prone.
That's
That's
true,
who it
Bradley
was.
Chubb.
So if you bring those guys, if you bring those guys before the season starts, if you're thinking about, obviously Bradley Chubb was in the middle of the season, so I can't criticize too much about that one. But the other guys that you drafted, and also the Teron Armstead deal that you did, if you know that these guys are injury prone, there's something called depth, and you need to make sure that you have that in your team. That plays for every sport. You need to have solid depth. If you don't have depth, you're not going to be able to survive, especially in all these hard-hitting sports. Look at
Mhm.
soccer. You could have the best 11 on the field, but if you don't have a bench when those guys are tired, they're gonna get scored on. That's just how it works. Why do you think
Mhm.
Argentina, Brazil, Germany, when they were in their prime, always were legit? Because France, because their depth is ridiculous. They have guys to come in and come out. Why do you think the Miami Heat are so successful? Because the Miami Heat usually has a bench to help them. And that's another thing. The Miami Dolphins scout team. Come on, man. Like, can we do a better job? Look at the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, they have an amazing scout team to get literally guys who were undrafted or guys that nobody thought and believed in them, and now all of a sudden to deliver, or at least get them to do more than what anybody else expected. Come on, like when the only person I thought that the Miami Heat, I'm sorry, that the Miami Dolphins maybe got away with it and made him a very good player, and that's yet to see how he does without Christian Wilkins is Zach Sealer. But tell me another player out there that the Miami Dolphins picked up, Cater Kohu maybe, but he kind of fell back this year. He struggled this year. So is there anybody out there that you could say, hey, look, the Miami Dolphins went and found a sleeper like some of these other teams do? We haven't seen that in the Miami Dolphins. And then so am I criticizing Chris Greer for not going ahead and drafting a tight end? A quality tight end, yes. And I know that people are gonna say, "Hey, the scheme that wasn't the scheme," and this and blase blase. Yeah, okay, I get you, man. But if you had a quality tight end, I don't care what type of scheme the coaches were using, they're gonna use that tight end. That's just a matter of fact. That's why you need him. Because if you have a quality tight end, it gives you an option. Think about this. The Kansas City Chiefs decided to get rid of Tyreek Hill, the best receiver in the NFL, and they decided to keep Travis Kelce. And they've won one Super Bowl without him, and they're on the verge of winning a second one. Why is that? Because they realized that they could get away with receivers. Receivers come and go. Tight ends don't. And that's the reason why I criticize Chris Greer, for the simple fact that he's made mistakes like that. You can't just go ahead and just be completely blind and not consider the tight end such an important part of your offense and an important piece in your team. And I know Gesicki was vital for the first couple of years when he was here, but still, man, you should have done better. You should have done more. You should have invested.
You made me laugh when you were like, and then they had the audacity to bring back Durham Smite as the
True, because dude, I didn't know Durham Smite has been with the team since 2018. Are you kidding me, dude? So if since 2018, Durham Smite has not been the starter as a tight end, why in God's green earth do you think he should be a starter
he's a
in
late bloomer.
2023? Nah, man, come on, man. That's a slap in the face to us Miami Dolphin fans, and I didn't see that. That's why I got upset. I was like, come on, man.
I mean, he's not a bad player, but he ain't those.
He ain't a
I guess
starter.
he's not a starter yet.
I mean, you could say he's a starter, but he's not a stellar tight end that you're gonna consistently rely on him, and he's gonna be able to deliver, because he hasn't done it since 2008. 18. I'm sorry, since 2018. My apologies. Since 2018. So if he hasn't delivered since 2018, what makes you think he's gonna deliver in 2023? And if they did, and if they don't do anything and they decide to stay here, like, what makes you think? Like, if they don't do anything, if they don't change anything, and they decide to keep Durham Smite again, and they decide to keep Julian Hill, what's going on? And I know Sean just finished writing. He is a run blocker. They got him to cover Gesicki and blocking. I understand that, but you need a tight end that is willing to do multiple things besides blocking. Catch the football. That is what a tight end is there for.
We just need a bigger player too overall, because Tyreek and Waddle, they're speedsters. They're great when it comes to running routes. They're great in separation. They're great when they go against man to man. They chop up zone. They're great players. But when you need that big physical player to go up there and grab those, tough balls. I mean, did you see the one that Travis Kelce did that Patrick Mahomes did to Travis? That he kind of like lobbed it to him, and Travis Kelce I just don't know how he was able to catch that, but he caught it. Like you said, those are these unicorn players that you just don't see on a frequent basis, bro. Wow. I mean, look at Gronk and Tom Brady.
Exactly, man. That is a reason why I think as a general manager, you should put more focus on a tight end. I don't care what type of coach you have in place. That should be vital in your scheme, no matter what type of offensive coordinator you are, because it gives you the advantage. And for Chris Greer to be naive and not try to get a tight end that would work for us, I gotta criticize him on that. You went
Mhm.
with Mike Gesicki, but again, like only so much he could do. You went with Durham Smythe, and you feel like Durham Smythe has been the best tight end you've had in his whole GM year. The since 2016, Durham Smythe has been his best tight end. Literally, there hasn't been another tight
I
end
don't
that
want to
you
say
could honestly
best.
say.
I think Gesicki has been the most productive, but Smite has been the most complete player when it comes
Okay,
to
so we'll say that the most complete player has been Durham Smythe for the
tight end
Miami Dolphins
position wise.
for
Yeah,
for
because
tight end
why?
position.
Because productive wise, I think Mike Gesicki was pretty productive through his 4 or 5 years that he was here.
True, and again, Sean is saying, and Smite did catch the ball, and he is not dynamic like Kelsey and Kittle, and that's the thing that we're missing here. And what's up, Chad? Smite is not a game changing tight end, exactly, Chad, and that is one thing I'm criticizing on Chris Greer because you need to have that type of game changing tight end. You saw the tight ends I've read during each year, those two teams that always made it to the Super Bowl. You saw what they do, who they are. Google them. Look at their stats. You'll see that they're quality tight ends that are on a different level. And Durham Smythe, there's none of them. None of them. Because even the ones that kind of made it towards the end, like the one from the Atlanta Falcons, which was Austin Hopper. Hopper would be the only one that I kind of would say, hey, maybe he's in the same range as Durham Smythe, but that was back in 2017. So I gotta look. I didn't look at his stats, but he's the only one that I'll probably be like, okay, maybe he's somewhere around maybe with Durham Smythe. But besides that, all the other tight ends were fucking studs. While Miami has Durham Smythe. Durham Smythe, and that's it.
Well,
So
that 2017 year, he had 49 catches, 526 yards, and 3 touchdowns. In 2018, he had 71 catches, 660 yards, and 4 TDs. And then his most productive year was 2019. 75 catches, 787 yards, 10 yards per carry or per catch, 6 touchdowns.
that was the stats for.
Austin Hopper in the Atlanta Falcons between
So it
2017 and 2019.
wasn't that bad either. And okay, to go ahead and counter Mr. Sean Stanley here says, you act like these guys grow on trees and are everywhere. Sir, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Again, I don't know if you were here when I was reading these draft picks, but again, in 2018, Mike Gesicki was a second round pick. Jerome Baker was a third round pick. Durham Smythe was a fourth round pick. Why wasn't he able to pick one of those guys, a better tight end? He picked two tight ends in 2018, and he both missed on both of them technically because Mike Gesicki wasn't what they wanted. I mean, he was a great catcher, and like they said on the chat, he was more of a receiver, but he wasn't a blocker. And if you have scouts out there and you're looking to see what the hell this guy is doing, you will only see, hey, this guy only delivers. Maybe we can train him to be a blocker, but obviously that was a complete failure. Let's look at 2020. You had Noah as a first round pick, which we know that sucked. Raekwon Davis as a second round pick. Come on. Brandon Jones, okay, he was picked as well in the third round pick. Solomon Kinley as a fourth round pick. Again, number in 2019, Christian Wilkins, okay, you can't deal with that. Michael Dieter as a third round pick. I mean, again, there was the opportunity to draft pick a tight end if you really wanted to. You could, in my opinion, you could find a gem of a tight end within those first 3 to 4 rounds. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But for me, at least, I would say in the first 4 rounds, you could find at least one quality tight end. And let's not forget this past draft pick that we were looking at the guy from Alabama. Remember? I forgot his name. Nick, do you remember that guy's name? He was from Alabama. We all wanted him, and we were like, yes, the Miami Dolphins are going to be able to get him. He was going to be our second round pick, if I'm not mistaken, because we had gone ahead and gotten Cam Smith. Actually, he was gonna be. He was there available during Devon Achane, and then we picked Devon Achane, and I was like, what the hell? Why in Green's Gone Earth we didn't get that tight end? And then we waited all the way into the 6th round to pick up Elijah Higgins. Explain to me that. Explain to me why Chris Greer keeps going ahead and not picking a quality tight end. And that's why, Sean, when you go and you say, hey, look, these guys don't grow on trees, you're absolutely right. They don't. But you could also tell that our GM wasn't doing his best effort to try to get a quality tight end in one of these rounds. He missed in 2021. He tried with Hunter Long, who was a 3rd round pick, but that didn't even work out either, because at the end of the day, Hunter Long was a bust. So he missed on Hunter Long. He missed on Elijah Higgins, which everybody was preaching on, and he didn't go ahead and pick up that Alabama. It was that
I'm trying to
Alabama,
look for him.
that Alabama tight end that was really good, that he had just gotten. I think he had just gotten injured or something like that, but he played in the national
just the way the scouting
exactly.
goes.
So that could have been perfect for him because he's an injury-prone player. So that would have fit even the type of player that he likes to pick up. Why didn't he pick that guy up? It just makes no sense. No sense. Let me see. Hold
There's
on.
a lot of good tight ends this year, bro.
Hold on. We got some people coming into the chat. So obviously, Memo, yo, what's good, my bros? And then Memo says, I'm wearing the same shirt, Frankie. Yes, let me talk to you. It represents our podcast, so thank you for the support. And sir, Frankie's voice, of course. Chad goes, but Sean, they do. They he was replying to the thing that Sean was saying, that they don't grow on trees and shit. Michael Dieter starting center for CJ Stroud, and we let him go. We let him go. I mean, I don't know, man. You know,
Wow, wait, hold on. What? Michael Dieter's the starting center for CJ Stroud? Wow, look at that. Another offensive line thrown away.
and you know who's the left tackle for CJ Stroud? Laramie Tunsil, which is the guy that we traded for Tyreek Hill. But granted, we traded Laramie Tunsil, and then we eventually had to go get Teron Armstead. Explain that to me. Like, this is what frustrates me with some of the decisions that he makes. And I'm not saying that Chris Greer is the worst either, but it frustrates me because if you go and you trade Laramie Tunsil and you bring all of these picks and you're able to get Tyreek Hill and all that stuff, but then what happened to Cedric Wilson? Like, why did you guys just brush away from Cedric Wilson and said, screw that crap. Let's just go ahead and get rid of Cedric and let's leave Cedric Wilson and then let's dump it because now we got Tyreek Hill. Come on, man. Like, those are bad decisions by the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if they tried to shop Cedric Wilson. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I have no idea. But, I mean, you were able. Think about this, Nick. The Miami Dolphins were able to get rid of Noah. Back to the Cowboys. Explain to me how in God's green earth we weren't able to get rid of Cedric Wilson and trade him to somebody. I don't think the Miami Dolphins actually even tried to get rid of him. I think they said, hey, we need more weapons for Tua, so Cedric Wilson will help us out no matter what. That's just how I feel, man, and it's just sad. Here, you just said Dieter was a bust. I mean, he was a bust with the Dolphins because he's not even the starter right now with us. We're having troubles finding a center. When Connor, we had to go get Connor Williams. Explain to me that. Who made these calls? Why did we give away Dieter? Why did we get rid of Laramie Tunsil if we were gonna go get Teron Armstead and we were gonna go get Connor Williams? Explain to me that. I don't know.
We gave up a 2nd round pick to Josh Rosen and that didn't pan out.
I mean, for me, it's like the whole trade with the running back when we brought in this guy, Jeff Wilson Jr. We went ahead and grabbed him. It didn't work out. Then what happened? We got Achane. Okay, so let's pick up Jeff Wilson Jr. for one more season, and then we're gonna let him go. Oh, and Chase Edmonds. Remember the Chase Edmonds deal? Did we forget about that? That was a bust as well. You know,
unfortunately, that no worries. We're gonna change that. We're gonna have.
Hold on. You see this? Isn't that on coaching then, Frankie? Yes and no. I'll explain why. The reason I feel that yes and no is because if you're the coach and you're like Bill Belichick, where he has rights to being the GM as well, then I 100% agree. Yeah, Mike McDaniel. But he isn't. The one making decisions of who's bringing and who's leaving at the end of the day is Chris Greer. And yes, the coach does give his opinion and say, yo, this player is not working out for me. Can you help me out with this guy? Can you help me out with that guy? I agree with that. But that's up to Chris Greer as well to make the decision and come to a conclusion and say, you know what? I think we can make it work out. I think this guy doesn't suck. He was productive with this coaching staff. He was productive in this practice. He was able to do this. He was able to do that. Don't you think we could work with him? I think at the end of the day, you have to be able to have this communication with your general manager. And if Mike McDaniel, Brian Flores, and all these guys probably gave their opinion to Chris Greer, and Chris Greer said, okay, whatever you guys want, and just started dishing these guys left and right, left and right, left and right, maybe that wasn't the right decision. Maybe he should have thought about it twice and said, hold on a second, let's give these guys a second chance. Look at how we went ahead and we thought Austin Jackson wasn't going to pan out. And now look, you understand me? So if they really wanted to get rid of him, they could have gone and said, hey, get rid of Austin Jackson because Austin Jackson sucks. Somebody found out, the coaching must have said something. So I think it's always 50-50. I'm not going to go and just say, hey, it's only on Greer, and I'm not only going to go ahead and say it's only on Mike McDaniel. They both have to communicate. And this was the thing that I was talking to Sean about the whole Tua situation, when Tua is going ahead and running the system, the offensive system. I told him, hey, look, you want to know something? We're going to go ahead, and Tua should be able to capitalize on what's going on the field. Why? Because Mike McDaniel is not the one on the field throwing that football. It's Tua Tagovailoa. Now, you guys want to say, hey, spot throwing and all this stuff about Tua going, and because this receiver is not there, he throws the ball and the ball gets there too fast and the crowd noise and all that stuff. Excuse me, you're a professional football player. You know everything is not going to be perfect. So if the timing is not there, you also have a pair of eyes. You also are noticing when your wide receiver, as a quarterback, at least to my knowledge, you should know if your wide receiver is getting pushed or your wide receiver who's running that route is being blocked from him getting there at that time. I don't see that from Tua. I see him as like, yo, let me throw it at that spot no matter what. Like, I'm not even looking at what Tyreek is doing. I just know that he needs to be there. And that's what concerns me when it comes to Tua, because Tua should be going out there and looking at the field and saying, wait, hold on a second. That wide receiver, holy crap, this guy's getting pushed. Think about it. Maybe I shouldn't go through that guy. Let me go to the other guy. Let me look at the other guy and see what happens. I don't see that from him. And I'm sorry, I'm blabbering a lot, but I'm telling you the truth, Nick. That's how I feel about Tua. That's why I can't just go ahead and blame Mike McDaniel. The quarterback underneath the center has to be able to look at the field and realize what is going on. Look, guys, I've never been a football player. Never in my life. But you know what I have played? I played soccer. And when you're playing soccer, it's like every other sport. There could be a scheme. There's a 1-2 where you go ahead and you got, check this out, Nick. You got two guys running here. This is me and this is you. You pass me the ball, you run, and I pass you the ball right back, right? If that's the routine all the time, kind of like a first read, every single time I'm going to do that to you. But if I see that you're covered by this defender and you're running and then this guy's coming here and side by side with you, do you think I'm going to pass you the ball? No, because that guy's going to go ahead and take the ball away from you. So then why in God's green earth am I not going to throw that ball? Because I'm actually seeing what the defense is being played on that player. Why can't Tua do that? That's what frustrates me with Tua. That's why I've lost hope for him. And that's what it gets me upset when you fan base, the Miami Dolphin fan base is always giving Tua these excuses. No, man, Tua has blame as well, just like Mike McDaniel. I'm not just saying it's only on Tua, but I hate the fact that you guys are putting so much weight on Mike McDaniel and saying, hey, Tua, yeah, he messes up, but it's not as bad as Mike McDaniel. No, man, it's either equally or even more. Sorry, bro. Sorry I went on that rant, but I had to say it.
No, you brought out a lot of value when it comes to your argument, and we'll see. It seems like Tua feels that there will be an extension, and prior to your rant, which I really liked. It was funny, but
I mean, no doubt,
we
no doubt is saying you don't understand throwing with anticipation. Dude, I understand throwing with anticipation, but come on, man, read the field. Read the field, dude. Don't you think, Nick? All right, let me I went for a long rant. Let me get your opinion. What do you think about Tua in your opinion? And I know I don't want to go with this whole Tua thing, but it just I want to get your opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Because if I'm wrong, hey man, 100%. I'll shut up and I'll be like, look, you know what? The chat, Nick, you guys are right, and I'm completely wrong.
um you and I have been watching him now for 4 years, practically in real life. Right there, and there's been some plays where the camera, when you watch it from TV, kind of doesn't really show you how it is when you really see it in person. And there are some times where there's some plays where we always have a handful of moments where you're like, hey, look, man, he missed him here, and he could have, if he would have just waited or turned around, he would have been able to see this guy. And I believe Tua can read the field. I believe Tua can throw the anticipation throws. um Sometimes I do agree with you, he does rely a lot on, hey, you got to be there, but at the same time he has made certain adjustments when it comes to, you know pick a guy and let it fly type of deal. But what I do want, what I do want to complain about too, is that Tua really doesn't make the adjustments at the line of scrimmage. Like, hey, like, I read this play and this is gonna be my play. Or maybe this is just me assuming, but like, he probably reads the play, he probably reads the field, but he doesn't speak up and say, hey man, let's kill this play and let's do this. I think if I'm wrong, then hey, you guys gotta show me, because I haven't seen it. So hopefully
Well,
this would
I'll
be a year where Tua kind of adjusts on how to really carry the offense instead of just throwing it to your main man. You feel me?
so yesterday when I was talking to Sean went ahead and said he can't kill the play because what ends up happening is the receivers, since they're not tall enough, again, another baby excuse in my opinion, are getting pushed around. So Tua's anticipatory to throw the football at that spot is not going to work because the wide receivers are being manhandled. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why not? Why do you think
Um,
not? I'll give you my reason, but I want to know. I want to get your
you
opinion.
you go first. I want to hear
You
you.
want to know why I don't think that's fair to say is because number one, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are not the only guys running routes out there, in my opinion. There's routes where you have your running backs out there and fade routes. You also have your tight ends out there. There has to be more plays than just throwing it to Tyreek and to Jalen Waddle. And you want to know something? If Tua was more able to think outside the box when you're getting pressured, which is true. I mean, I've seen Dougie's video. Dougie says, "Hey, the offensive line hasn't done a good job in protection as we thought they did," and he broke it down. And I get it, but it's not every play. Let's keep it real. And the offensive line did a lot better this year than last year. So, and there's been plays there where you see that Tua has plenty of time, but instead of Tua moving to the side or just buying some extra time, he'll be hesitant and he'll just throw it because he's so used to just that same routine. I'm gonna throw it there no matter what.
But at
Tyreek,
the same but at the same time though, you also have to blame McDaniel, because he's being hard headed. Even though he's a player's coach, I think right there that's when you gotta kind of tell Mike McDaniel, look, do what you gotta do, and let's move on from here. But I don't think Mike McDaniel does that.
and that's the other thing I explained to him. I was like, how is it possible? And and again, I mean, Sean, if you wanna come on, let me know. I'll send you a link right now, and you could jump on board on this conversation. I will tell you right now, this is what frustrates me when it comes to Tua. I know the Mike McDaniel was on record that they asked him, "Hey, about the play calls," and then he went ahead and he responded saying, "Hey, look, then if you don't want me to make the play calls, then what am I here for?" Okay, he might say that. He might have said that out of frustration as well. Let's keep it real. But if you have a certain relationship with your coach, especially a guy as smart as Mike McDaniel, because he's not an idiot. The guy is smart. The guy went to an Ivy League school, if I'm not mistaken. Dude, Like, why in God's green earth wouldn't you just approach your coach and tell him, yo, Mike, check this out, man. Give me at least the opportunity to try to kill this play or let me the opportunity to audible. I don't think Tua does that. Tua sits back and it's like, here's the script and I got to read it word for word. That's the way I look at Tua. Tua's given a script, Tua's given word for word. That's the way it works with Tua. And that's my frustration with him. Like, dude, think outside the box. Dude, stand up for yourself. Say something. Don't be afraid to change a play. Why? Because you're the guy out there on the field making the plays. Like, do something that it's gonna like. Look at Jalen Ramsey when he disobeyed freaking Vic Fangio. Remember that he was like, "Screw this shit. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this guy from the Jets." He did it and it worked. What is Mike McDaniel gonna do to Tua if Tua disobeys him for a split second? Bench him? Come on, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you got nothing to lose, especially if you're losing in that Baltimore game where we're getting our asses spanked. Why didn't he do those calls? Like, why didn't he try something different? That's what frustrates me. Like, if it's not working, then and your coach doesn't want to listen to you, apparently. Okay, then you do it. Take that leadership role. And if he comes back at you and criticizes you or gets upset at you, you know what? Well, you take that heat and you explain to him, hey, coach, we were getting our asses kicked already. So I had to try something different to see if it worked. And it did and it didn't. What can you do? And maybe you'll gain that confidence from Mike McDaniel. And then Mike McDaniel will be like, you know what? Yeah, maybe this kid can kill. Maybe he can kill the motion. Maybe he can call an audible. Let's go ahead and start implementing that a little bit more in the play calls. Sorry.
I mean, remember he had his whole concussion thing going on last year. So the goal I think this year was just to keep him at a full season, and that was the smaller goal. Well, that's a big goal. So I believe maybe next year in the off season they'll go ahead and improve on how freely he can control the offense. But in the meantime, get a damn tight end, or if not, get me Justin Fields.
Sean is sending me private messages on text. Sean, I'm telling you, man, if you want to get on, then please, I'll send you the link, man. I have no problem bringing you on, and you could voice your opinion as well. Or we'll bring you next week, and we could debate this next week. But I'm telling you right now, at the end of the day, man, like I just get upset. I get upset. I get frustrated because I'm a very passionate Dolphin fan, man. And like my brother says, we're out there. Oh, he wants me to send it. My frustration with the Miami Dolphins is the fact that we're out there, we're seeing it, and we're not the only ones. I'll never forget, Nick, check this out. I never forget when we were at the game and there was a guy next to me. This guy played football. At least he said he did. He played college football. And I didn't want to believe him until he started calling the routes and started calling the plays while I was sitting next to him. And he was like, look, Frank, this is this play. This is that play. This is this play. And he was teaching me. He was like, look, I know you don't play football, but I'm going to tell you, football is not that hard because it's just they're just changing a couple of things, but football is the same play. Look what the defense is running, this and that, this and that. And I'll be like, damn, I didn't, I didn't know it was like that. He's like, yeah, man, it's like it's just little changes that they do here and there in order for you to be able to run a different play. That's it. It's not that big of a difference. There's nothing huge out there. You don't see Wildcats happening every single year. It happens. The tush push. You don't see that every year where people make up some of these plays. The majority of the stuff has already been done before. And it's just little tweaks that they do in order for you to be able to be successful in them. And that's what I realized that day. And then out when we're there at the game, there's plenty of times where we're like, oh my God, Tua, dude, he had Jalen Waddle wide open. Why didn't he just throw him? And we're watching the field. So we don't even have an angle as like you guys see it on TV. We're seeing it like in the same peripheral that Tua has. And we're noticing it. And we're like, yo, dude, there's always at least 5 or 7 of us always yelling and say, yo, he had that guy wide open. Why didn't he not throw it to him? But because he's so mentally zoned in to, hey, let me throw it. The script is to throw it to my first read. Boom, let me throw it to that guy. No matter if that guy has 2 guys on him, boom, I'm going to force it in there. I'm going to throw it to that guy. because that's the script. The script is to go to that guy, Tyreek Hill. The script for this place to go straight to Waddle. Let me throw to that guy.
Then we gotta get rid of someone big from the offense and just build up that wall around Tua so that he can have more time to throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he says you have never played QB, you have no idea what Tua can see. But
That's
no,
true. Tua does have he's for his stature, he ain't the it's not uncommon. You typically QBs are a lot taller than his stature, so the way he sees the offensive line and the way the game runs around him, it's pretty hard.
again, true. You could go ahead and you
Which
can,
doesn't help. Which doesn't help. You feel me?
but
Doesn't help.
but come on, man. Like we always feel like, hey, that this is what frustrates me, that we complain about like the most stupidest stuff. We're like, hey, here comes, let's go ahead and give Tua another excuse, or let's give this guy another excuse and more excuse, another excuse. Just how about we just blame that person and hold them accountable for it, and that's it. You understand me? The same way we're holding Mike McDaniel accountable for not calling the plays quickly enough, the same way we criticize him for not going ahead and getting um the challenges correct. Do the same thing with Tua. There's nothing wrong admitting to Tua, hey, Tua's a spot thrower. If Tua throws the football and the football and somebody pushes the motion, Tua doesn't realize it. He's still gonna be naive and throw it there. And if he's reading, and here's the thing I'm telling you right now as well. If you guys say that he does read the offense, that he does read the defense, right? Then it's Tua being naive. It's Tua being hard headed, because Tua's like, I could make it fit through there no matter what. So he's throwing it there knowing that it's difficult to actually get that completed, right? Because what other reason can you give him for being so damn hard headed of going ahead and not just getting rid of the ball or looking at somebody else? Why do you have to purposely keep targeting that specific location? Like, then if he feels he could fit it in, then he's being hard headed, in my opinion. Then
I mean, I guess he just wants to show his capabilities of how tight he can throw in certain windows. So it can be a little bit of, confidence booster, but at the same time, it's a risky move.
all right, so here we go. We got somebody in the building. We got Sean in here. Let me see. Sean, can we hear you, bro?
Sorry, I didn't have my mic up. All right, let me mute my AEW Dynamite behind me.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we got Sean Stanley. He wanted to go because he knew that we were gonna go at it, and I knew he was gonna come on, and I wanted to bring him on. If there's anybody else, Chad, no doubt, any of you guys want to time in and come in as well, just let me know. I'll shoot you. Just send me a message, a private message with your email, and I'll send you a link as well. But talk to me, Sean.
I'm not gonna come on here and be like, none of this is Tua's fault. I said to you last night, there's a lot of missing things. Here's the part that, look, man, I don't know Mike McDaniel's offense. I know Dan Marino went on Pat McAfee's show and went on some other shows today and said it's a pretty difficult offense.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So if Dan Marino's telling me, and if Dan Marino's telling me that we can win a Super Bowl with Tua, I'm going to sit there and believe a little bit about what Dan Marino's telling me. Now, whether he's feeding me smoke, whatever you want to do. Here's my thing. Mike McDaniel has the offense that is set up similar to what Kyle Shanahan runs with the San Francisco 49ers. At least that's what he's trying to get here.
Correct.
Right? Do we have the tight end position? Do we have any player that can fill in that role? And I know you've talked about it at nauseum.
Not right
I
now.
don't know that there's anybody that's going to be. The closest one that I've seen would have been Laporta. Nobody else in this draft would have filled that position to the style of what Kittle and Kelsey. You're going to be doing the same thing if you draft a Gesicki to catch and a Smythe to block, because that's what that draft was. That was trying to get the tight ends for that whatever the hell offense they were running there in the Flores regime there, the pro style offense, I guess. But then that changes in this offense. And the reason you have to have that dynamic guy is because they don't come off the field. So then you don't know if it's a run, if it's a pass. You can line them up wherever. And again, I don't know everything about McDaniel's offense. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything about it. But to sit there and say everything is wrong with Tua would go to saying that then everybody else is doing correct. The receivers are running the right routes. The running backs are running the right routes. The linemen are doing the right blocking. The chipping and everything else. That is my argument to why, unless you watch the 22, you know what the play is, and you watch what each individual player is doing, then you can find out whose fault it is. Because Tua's always going to take responsibility. McDaniel's always going to take responsibility. And then you're going to have Tyreek come out and every once in a while say, I ran the wrong pattern, and then Tua showed me on the thing that I ran the right, that he threw it to the right spot, because even Tyreek called him out on that one pass play and then came back and said, no, you're right. You threw it to the spot.
Nick,
So again, it goes back to, and then with the manhandling of the receivers, it's not manhandling. It's knocking them off their routes. Even a slight little bit. If you knock them to the left and the pass is supposed to be going to the right, then again, it's going to make Tua look bad. And I'm not saying all of Tua's throws were great this year. There was a lot of bad throws. There's a lot of trying to fit stuff in. But my question would go to, what was the play call? Yeah, Waddle can be running wide open down the field if everybody knows that he's not getting that ball from the play. If Tua's rolling to the right and everybody knows Tua's not throwing it across the field 60 yards down the field, then just let Waddle run.
Okay.
It's going to be wide open. But I mean, again, it's easy to sit here and say, okay, that's why I say it's on McDaniel and it's on Tua on the offensive side, because they're the captains. They're the ones that should be, and you've seen it a lot this year. Guys break the huddle. They run to the left. Tua's moving them back to the right. With 10 seconds left on the play clock, he's running, trying to maneuver guys around. Like, at some point, this should have been practiced. That's where I say preparation falls on the coach. Execution falls on the players.
Okay, that I agree. That I agree with you. I agree that execution should be on the players and preparation should be on the coach. Now, when you talk about the bump, like the receiver gets bumped or stuff like that, all I'm saying is when it comes to Tua, stop being so naive and thinking that, hey, you're not even seeing that guy make his run. So if you see Tyreek, and because when you're seeing his peripheral is going to be like, okay, I'm seeing the receiver cut through, so I'm supposed to throw the football right there. But if you see that he's not getting, you could see when he's running as well. I know you have pressure around you, but he's a quarterback. He's been doing this for so many years. He has to be visual enough. Hold on. He needs to be visual enough to say, hold on a second, Tyreek is not going to make it there. Let me hold off 2 seconds before I throw the football, and then let me throw it there. That way he could probably get there. Don't you think as a quarterback you would think that way, in your opinion? I think if I'm a quarterback, why not? Why is it that if he's not looking at Tyreek Hill running and making that slant route? He's just throwing there because he's like, I'm expecting him to be there.
Let's listen to your thing here, okay? He's throwing the ball in 2.1 seconds. He had one of the fastest releases in the NFL this year.
Correct.
You want him to hold on for 2 more seconds, so 4.1 seconds. You want him to hold on to the ball before Tua makes the throw.
Well, did you remember the stat? And I remember, I don't remember the exact stat, but I know Dougie specifically said that Tua Tagovailoa struggles when he holds the ball longer than when he actually releases it really quickly. He struggles with that.
He's also been injured. Every injury is after 3.8 seconds.
His injuries, the majority, he's only been injured. He got the concussion of the one. Okay, I get you. If you had to throw it, whatever, but that's your quarterback. You have to be able. Look, injuries are going to happen.
6 foot tall quarterback.
Injuries are going to happen.
His offensive linemen are 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", 6'6", and I can't remember what the other one is.
I get you.
You're talking about let the guys come around you. What's he gonna do?
But he does struggle on extending plays. If the play doesn't execute accurately, he does struggle on.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that offense struggles when it's extending plays. Up until the last game with Brock Purdy, when he got out for those 2 runs because the lanes opened up, how did Purdy look when he had to extend plays? Not good.
I got to look at Purdy's numbers when Deebo Samuel was out and see how he was.
They were 0-3, and people were calling for him to be benched.
Wait, but what was his stats? Those let me look them up while you guys because I want to see if it was that, because this is one thing when we had one of my friends who came in Nick, he actually went ahead and said, "Look, us, the San Francisco fans, did not in any time believe that we needed to bench or get rid of Brock Purdy. That's the whole media going ahead and blowing that up. So in the games,
sure it was, but
so I'm
there
gonna
was
go to
a
the
time where
I'm gonna go to those games where they got where they got beat. And granted, some of these games like they weren't even getting blown out. So the first game that they lost was against
Cleveland Browns.
the Cleveland Browns. They lost by 2 points to the Cleveland Browns. Let me look at Brock Purdy's stats. Brock Purdy went 12 for 27, had 125 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Okay, so he struggled in that game. Now, let me go and see what was the next game that he after that. It was the Bengals. Hold on, I'm sorry, my computer's like I'm going like slow.
No, and so he was.
Let me know, and then I'll look at the next one.
He was 22 of 31, 365 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, sacked twice.
The guy still threw for over 300 yards, though.
They only scored 17 points. They lost 31-17.
Okay, let me see. What was the next game after that?
And just so you know, on that game, so, I mean, Purdy was running for his life. He had more yards rushing than McCaffrey.
Damn, that's unheard of.
Yeah, it's a little bit unheard of. All right, so
the Bengals game.
So, Sean, do you really think, or do you expect another jump from Tua now from this year to the next one?
I'm not going to say a jump, but here's the problem. That's going to happen. That I believe.
Hold on, before you continue, on the Bengals game, he went 22 for 31.
As I said, 300 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
So the guy was the guy was throwing over 300 yards passing, even though he threw those 2 interceptions, which was the thing that was.
Yeah, but a lot of those were not. It was Kittle had 149 yards because they were dumping off and running. That's the other thing that this offense, for some reason, there's no dump off for this offense. Everybody's out in the pass pattern. Like there's nobody to sit there and dump it off to.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so now when you're talking about dump off, are you talking about just the running backs? Are you saying you want more than just one person to be dumping off? Because
if you watch the 49ers, Kittle always runs kind of a slant slowly to the left. The running back kind of goes out to the right. Then if everybody's blitzing, if the blitz is coming from the right, he'll go to the left. If the blitz comes from the left, he just flips over to the right.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't they do a lot of slants during that Kansas City playoff game? Because I remember everybody was criticizing the Dolphins, saying, "Yo, the Dolphins are not throwing the ball really far. They were just going with these little slant routes every single time."
Yeah, no, but that's again the corners of Kansas City. Dude, Tyreek could not get off the line. They needed to put. They kept putting Barrios in motion, but Tyreek's the guy you need to put in motion if you're trying to get him off the line. He was not getting away from Snead. Snead was holding him on the ground and just pushing him. It was bad. I mean, it wasn't even like. I mean, that game was not as. There was a lot of bad stuff in that game, and again, I'm not going to sit here and say. To me, McDaniel's in charge of game planning, preparing the team. And by preparing the team, that means if Tyreek sprains his ankle and he's got to go out for 4 plays, if Braxton Berrios goes in there, of course there's going to be a drop-off because he's not Tyreek Hill. But it shouldn't be to where the guy doesn't even know what play he's running.
Yeah, there's been
one of the worst passes Tua threw all this year was the Chase Claypool.
Oh, yeah.
That was where Tyreek was supposed to be in. He had to go out. They threw Claypool in. Claypool's they showed his route. His route, he was like lost. He was like in La La Land.
But why did see in that perspective, okay, I could go ahead and blame Chase Claypool, but I also can go ahead and complain to Tua because if you notice
Tua's worst throws, but if you look at it, where the receiver was nowhere near to be helping him.
That's why. So why did he even look that way? Turn around and look to see if there's a different other route. And then if you and you as a quarterback, that was 3rd down, if I'm not mistaken. So if you see double coverage, if you see the safety and you see the corner underneath and the safety up top, and you turn around and you see your other read and you don't have anything, throw the ball away. This is a quarterback that has been in the league for 4 years. Why hasn't he grasped that?
You keep saying 4 years, 4 years, 4 years.
He hasn't?
No, I mean, if you want to count those, whatever, then he went to a whole new offense. He had to learn a whole new offense when McDaniel got there. And then he was in it for, this is his second year, technically, in this offense.
I could understand.
Second year.
I could understand if maybe this was his second year, but this is 4 years. You don't have to be a scientist.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo in the San Francisco offense. They ran him out of San Francisco because he couldn't do the offense. Like, it's not plug and play. You act like football's plug and play. It's not, man. There's intricacies to everything. And I'm not saying that it's brain science. Don't get me wrong. Because those guys are elite athletes and they understand their positions. But if you're telling a guy you're running to, like, for instance, the pass between Tua and Tyreek, it was supposed to be on the numbers on the left side of the hash is where Tua threw the ball. Tyreek was running down the middle, then had to turn his whole body around to catch the ball. He went running. He's like, hey, don't throw that pass again like that. You threw it to the wrong spot. They get the tablet. Tua shows them. He says, numbers. Left hash, numbers. And Tyreek was like, you're right. You hit the spot.
Okay.
But Tyreek was still running up the field. So, again, if that pass is incomplete, who's going to get the blame for it? Tua for a bad throw?
Probably Tua will get the blame for the bad throw.
Been on Tyreek because he ran the wrong spot. That's what I'm saying about the intricacies of this offense. And this is not your Bills and Ravens offense where it's okay, 5 yards and do an out and hit them. It's okay, the tight end goes across, clears out the middle so that Ayuk or Debo can come back across that same middle and get a quick little 10-yard hit and go.
Do you see
other intricacies to this offense that's not being done because once they shut down with Waddle out, once you shut down Tyreek, there's no playmakers. That's why they made a Chan a receiver for a majority of it.
Do you see Tua being more mobile next year?
I don't know how much more mobile Tua can get. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, you could get more mobile, but then you're getting him hit more. And Tua's not the guy that gets protected. Like, Mahomes will get protected. Tua's not getting protected.
Do you feel like we need to bring in better competition?
Does Josh Allen?
No, but Josh Allen's a freak of nature. You can't compare Josh Allen.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, when Tua goes down the slide, guys are diving and hitting him. They're not going to get flagged right away. Maybe further in the season they will. But how many of those hits can Tua take?
Man, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of answers, but hopefully Tua can make the jump for next year. Hopefully he doesn't digress throughout.
We're talking about the guy that led the league in passing too. I mean, that's what is like.
Yeah, but he only leads the league in passing because a lot of these teams keep playing zone defense, so there is no bump. But the moment that they switch,
you take advantage of what the defense gives you.
Exactly. So it's not so much that
the moment they go bumping, what happens? He offense, right?
He struggles. He struggles.
Because they bump the guys off the routes. They bump the guys off the spots they're supposed to be.
So if it's not I'm not gonna go ahead and give Tua a whole bunch of credit for getting all those yards because
there's the same problem with the motion. Tyreek's further out than what he needs to be. So now that quick slant and Tua's throwing to a spot, if Tyreek's further out, he's not going to be there for the pass because the timing's off.
I just feel that, again, you need everything to be perfect, and that's not how it works in football, man. That's not how it works in real life. Nothing is perfect in this life, and you have to be able to go ahead and get the job done. I'm not gonna go ahead.
It's not being perfect.
But you just finished saying these little things. Okay, a little bump. If Tyreek goes a little bit too wide, it hurts the timing. God damn. So then what we gotta be spotless? Nobody's gonna be spotless out there, bro. This is football.
Then again, this is where I say that starts falling on McDaniel in preparation.
No, that falls on the players not being able to. You want to know why? Because the preparation is there. The preparation is there, and it's not going to be perfect because people are going to go ahead and probably do something to change that formation, that bump or anything like that.
Coach, you adjust.
As a quarterback, you adjust. As a quarterback, you adjust. if you're set in stone that you're gonna go ahead.
Okay. So we're gonna do Sandlot. Tyreek, come here. On a 20-yard line. Look, you're gonna go down and you're gonna go in. I want Waddle there. We're gonna adjust. No, you make adjustments by putting Tyreek in motion to the left side to get him away from Snead or whatever. You look at what the defense they're running, and then you get them away. For instance, the Buffalo Bills with us. Okay, we'll move Jalen Ramsey over to cover Diggs. What did they do? They sent Diggs in motion back over to take on Kohu.
Yeah.
An adjustment. Very good. Oh my God. Imagine.
But
Josh Allen and Diggs didn't sit over there and be like, hey, dog, this is what we're going to do. You're going to go in motion to the left, and I'm going to throw it to you.
Okay, but the adjustment can not only be from Mike McDaniel. The adjustment can also be from your quarterbacks. Your quarterback. The adjustment can also be from your wide receiver. Your adjustment can be from whoever.
The receivers relay what they're getting. Just like the linemen. Hey, they're not blitzing the linebackers. They're blitzing, the outside linebackers are coming. The middle linebackers are faking and dropping back. Okay, then we can hit screens or whatever. There's different things you can do, but the players aren't sitting out there going, okay, let me adjust the play. No, what did you see? Okay, I saw the cornerback come in. As soon as I went to say hike, he backed off into zone. Okay, and these are the plays we'll call.
So these guys, so in other words, and this is what I'm getting, that all these players out there are basically like robots. They don't have a brain for themselves. They do what they're being told. Come on, man.
That's what the play that's called.
Yes, but you make it seem like these guys are robots and they can't do adjustments on themselves. Like, I don't understand why is this so hard for Tua or for Tyreek Hill. If Tyreek Hill is getting bumped, then you know what? How about you change your angle or change your style or push off or do something different? You can do that. You are able to do that in the first 5 yards. They're able to go ahead and manhandle each other in the first 5 yards off of the line of scrimmage. They could do that. And yes, I know Tyreek Hill is the smallest the small receiver and all that stuff. I get you. So maybe Tyreek Hill is not the best example, but you have other receivers. You also had Chase Claypool that you never went ahead and passed him the ball. The only time you probably passed it to him, he got picked off. And then the same thing you did with Chosen Anderson. Same thing. Always you would throw to him, and then here goes another pick. I'm saying, and I put more emphasis on the quarterback because the quarterback is the one who actually has the ability to hold off and be like, look, let me sit back
on the right pass pattern.
Again, but see, okay.
But you're sitting here saying, oh, Tua should know what they're doing. Tua's not telepathically talking to Rosen and telling him.
But Tua knows the routes, and if he sees that the route is not being run correctly, or he sees that the route is being delayed, then don't throw the ball there. Throw it away, or look at a different route. Look at a different receiver. Why do I have to? If I see that my first read is Chosen, and he's going, and I'm gonna. You're the quarterback. I'm looking at him right now. I'm looking at him, and I see that he's running the wrong route.
All right. This is what I want you to do. I want you to say hike, and I want you to scan, and then tell me when you pass the ball. Chosen's covered. Tyreek's taken out of the play. So run the play. Scan your thing. First read is taken. Second read taken. Let's see how long we got.
We can't do that. We can't do that because
we can right now.
We're not in front of our. We don't have people coming after me or anything like that. I mean, if I'm a quarterback, I'm looking at my first read, I'm looking at my second read, and then I'm looking probably at my fade route. That's what you have to do as a quarterback.
What you just did was longer than Tua would have to do all that.
Here comes with those excuses. Every play.
It's not. See, you're the guy.
Every play.
It's got to be an excuse. It's not an excuse.
Every play.
Excuse. I told you already. Tua is at fault with some of this. Yes.
Okay.
But I don't mind. You can't sit there and beat the drum that everything is on Tua when you don't know the damn offense.
Just I'm not only saying that it
beat on the drum that's McDaniel because I don't know the offense.
I'm not saying that it's only on Tua.
You are beating the drum that it's Tua.
I'm just saying I get upset at people going ahead and like kind of giving Tua excuses and making it seem
that people just sit there and talk about this guy like he's nothing when he's the best quarterback we've had in freaking 25 years.
Yes, he has been the best quarterback that we have in 25 years. I'm not denying that.
Like he's freaking Matt Moore.
I'm going ahead and criticizing him because I want a quarterback who was able to deliver.
When I think some of the stuff is defended, was he perfect this year? No. Was he worse than last year? Yes. I thought he was. Did he take some steps forward in certain areas? Yes. But he forced a lot more this year than he did last year.
What step forwards did he do this year?
Stay healthy.
Besides not getting hurt,
Deep throwing.
he's always thrown the ball deep.
We had where'd our offense finish? Our total offense finished what?
Yeah, it went up like four spots because we were in the top 10, I believe, the year before, and then we were like number 4.
Okay,
and then,
but how much further can you go up when you're in the top 10, bro? I mean,
but I'm not. Hold on. You said that
the improvements.
he's gotten some steps forward. I want to know in what? What did he do differently from last year to this year besides him not getting hurt and him probably sliding? So that's all related to hurt. Him throwing the football away because he doesn't want to get hit, or him going ahead and sliding. What else did you see from Tua that you could honestly say, hey, look, he improved on that? You can't.
4,600 yards?
4,600 yards as far as like passing yards?
Yeah.
That could be the play calling as well. Now, I can't go ahead and tell you that's only on Tua.
Play calling is always a part of it. Like that's what I'm saying though. You're sitting here you want to make excuses for why Tua's bad.
I want to put it
why he's bad.
I want to put excuse. I don't want any excuses. What I want is
I want people, right?
I want people. I want
for 4,600 yards. What's your excuse? Oh, that's play calling.
That is.
Well, welcome to goddamn football, buddy.
But then if he throws 400 less yards next season, he's having a step back. He's digressing then.
Depending on how many interceptions he throws.
Oh, so now we got you see, like I could counter what you're telling me. Like that is not something that's coming here.
If they run the ball 300 more times next year, does he throw for 4,600 yards?
That's another thing.
McDaniel sticks with the run. Does he throw for 4,600 yards? That's stuff
he could
answer for you. But again, if you want to have excuses because you got to have excuses to defend Tua, well, you sure as hell have to have a lot of excuses to break down Tua as well.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to say. You said step forward from Tua. What has he done? Your best reason. You said it. He took
more control of this offense.
Are you serious?
From last year to this year,
he took more control of this offense.
Knowing the plays, telling people where to be to make sure they were lined up properly.
Didn't we have more offside calls this year than we did last year? Or pretty much the same?
Did Tua jump offsides?
But if you're saying that, you're saying right now that he making sure the players are in this side and making sure these players are on that side and all that stuff, that plays a part too, right?
Yeah, but he didn't say go past the line before I say go. That's offsides. That's when you get false starts. I mean, Tua doesn't tell him. I mean, Tua in the huddle says, hey, X150, Y dog, slant, XZY, on three, go. Hey, you're supposed to be to the left side. You're supposed to be to the left side. Oh, Armstead, I didn't tell you to jump off sides. My fault. Tua told Armstead to jump off sides. That was in the play call. My fault.
Well, I mean, when you come
again,
into
execution, when we just talked about it, I said things need to happen. Proper play calling. Coaches do the preparation and the play calling. Players have to execute. But Tua is not the only player out there.
Correct.
But you make it seem like he is.
Because he's the player who has the ball most out of any other player in that field.
Okay, then so for everything that he's done bad, you have to give him the number one offense, the 4,600 yards, because he holds the ball, right?
Correct. And in that, I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to go.
Or did he take?
I don't know, because you went ahead and you said that you had stepped forward. He didn't.
He took a command of the offense this year. He took a more command. Is it a perfect? No, he's not.
Didn't he take command of the offense last year too?
No, there was times where he didn't have the guys in the right position and had to call timeouts. This year, he was more, you have to be here. You here.
All right. If you say so. I'm sorry. I don't, like I said,
But
I don't want you to.
If they had the number 8 offense and now they have the number 1 offense, Tua took no steps forward.
The offense took steps forward, and I think was part of it.
You just said Tua has the ball all the time.
I think he improved.
Well, then Tua had to done something proper.
Yes, I'm not saying that everything that he does is wrong either.
I don't know, because right now it feels like it is. I'm
No,
just
I
I
saying,
know
think
it's
I think
because
I think
because
he's improved, but what diminishes his improvement is when it comes down to the line when you have to win games, those numbers really don't matter. You can be having wonderful numbers, but if you don't really
yes.
make those clutch moments, it does diminish, and that's why from a fan
I agree with
perspective,
that. There was times where he had a chance to go down the field and did not perform. Right?
and that diminishes what
It
he
does.
really.
But also, don't forget, on some of those games, he was let down in the beginning of the game by Claypool. Did he mess up at the end and throw an interception to seal the deal? Yes.
oh
Has
and
Tyreek dropped passes? Has Waddle dropped passes? Has other receivers dropped passes that could have maybe, again, not saying it changes anything, but
Yeah,
early in the
and,
game, but yes, Tua has, when the game is on the line and going down there, he made some costly mistakes.
and
Yes.
and another thing that I do want to point out, now that you said that he had 400 something plus yards as well, he did miss more games last year than he did this year. So maybe those 400 yards would not have been a big difference between last year and this year if he would not have missed those games. So I can't use those 400 yards that he did for passing
Well, I
as a
mean,
step
why should we
forward.
use something that could help him? I understand. I know. I get it. I get it.
Look,
But
Sean.
also, listen, if you didn't play those 4 games, he probably might not have 10 interceptions either. So can we take that off?
That's true. That's a very solid point.
I'm
You're
saying. I mean,
you're absolutely right.
we'll
He
take away.
probably was. You're
Again, what I'm
probably right
saying
about
though is when the lights were on him, he threw some piss poor passes. But also, if you look back at some of those games, there were passes that were going to be completed that could have went for big yardage.
I'll never forget that pass that
Does that
he threw
change
in the
games?
middle.
I don't know.
I'll never forget that pass he threw in the middle in Kansas City. He had Waddle right there, man, but he just overthrew it, and it was so hard to see that one. That was so
I mean,
tough.
you look at that KC game, they lost 21-14. Think about it. It was a defensive score. This is the game in Germany now, not the
yeah.
last game.
Yeah, the Germany
It
one.
was
Yeah.
when Tyreek fumbled the ball. That was the changing in the game.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
rush play, and it was the changing of the game. And that changed. After that, everything settled down, and that was almost the final. I think that might have been one of the final scores of the game.
look, I know you might seem that I'm hating on Tua, and I want to get it clear. I don't hate on Tua, but I also don't want people to go ahead and just assume that when we criticize Tua, that it's all of a sudden, hey, there's a but Tua this, but Tua that, but because we don't give that excuse to Mike McDaniel. I don't go and tell Mike McDaniel, hey, Mike McDaniel is making bad decisions as far as challenging the play, but we don't do that for Mike. So I don't feel that they should do that for Tua. That's all I'm saying. You want to criticize both of them. They both have their faults.
Here's all I will say on that, man, is that when you look at it, and I've already said it when I first came on, Mike McDaniel's in charge of preparing them for the game and for the game plan on the offensive side of the ball. How many times this year did we not look in the game?
What do you mean we did not look in the game?
Like, for instance, we came out, we scored the first touchdown against was it Baltimore? And then they went on a what? They just when it got out of control quickly, right? Buffalo, the first game, got out of the way and got out of control quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like those games, we were out coached. We weren't prepared for those games. Whether it's, and again, we go back to the whole thing saying, was it the preparation? Was it the execution? That's the part that we will never know. We can sit here and point and blame and everything else, but unless you know,
I think it's a little. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. And I've always, and I'll say this too. And one thing I do criticize Mike McDaniel is that I always feel that once his scheme is not working, he doesn't do anything to change it up. That I agree 100% because I've even told my brother when we talk about soccer, when we had the previous soccer coach, Rueda, he was that type of coach where he would not make any necessary changes in order for you to be able to win the game. But now that we have an Argentinian coach, hands down, a way better coach, when he knows that his scheme is not working in the second half, this guy's already changing. He's even doing in-game changes. He's like, yo, he'll call the captain and tell the captain, hey, tell this forward to move back, or tell this guy to switch sides and stuff like that. I don't see that in Mike McDaniel, and that's a concern on my end.
And then
That
also,
I think he'll get better throughout time, though.
well, my one thing is this. You know, your defense, for instance, let's use the Kansas City game.
okay.
The second half, it was like 42-17 plays differential in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because Mike McDaniel's trying to go out there and pass, and then here comes your tired defense back on the field again. Like you have to play complement. I get it. You've got the big play guy, Tyreek. Yes, that's there always. But it's like after a while, he falls in love with it to where it's like Madden. I'm going for the bomb. It's like Tecmo Bowl. You guys play Tecmo Bowl back in the day? You guys didn't know what that is?
Yeah. I
We
played
just
it.
run to the back of the end zone and throw it 100 yards, and the guys
Yeah.
get there. You know, that's what I feel like. Sometimes he just falls in like, okay, we can score 14 points, and I feel like he falls in love with that. Like, I know we can get 14 points in 38 seconds. Yeah, but your defense is on the field for a 9-minute drive. They get 38 seconds off, and now they're back out there for a 17-play drive.
But that also falls on our defense, because if our defense was able to stop them 3 and out, then it would be just 3 and out from the Dolphins, 3 and out Chiefs.
Fangio's defense is in the don't break defense. So again, that's what I say. It's understanding your complementary part of the game, especially when you get in the playoffs. In the regular season, okay, experiment a little bit. That's where you want to experiment, not to lose games, but experiment what works and what doesn't. When you get into that's why Kansas City just sits there and is like, okay, here we go. Now we're ready to play. Because they know where they need to be. They've been here every year, man.
Yeah, but they also have a coach it's a Hall of Fame coach. We don't have that. We have a coach that is still
but he
making those
also
baby
knows,
steps.
okay, we're gonna run the ball. Pacheco, let's go, buddy.
But you know that there was instances when Raheem Mostert, they would hand the ball to Raheem, or they would hand the ball to Achan, and they would get stopped.
Yeah,
on first down or second down too. So
if you watch, and I know you guys were at the game, so you watched it. If the run to the right was working, how many times would he run the same play in a row?
that I agree.
It's like
I will say this. My frustration with Mike McDaniel was that I formation, dude. He never ran that, and we were so productive with that I formation. Every time we had an I formation,
plus people open. Man.
Yes, right through it. And I used to
up to the front to get you to the linebackers.
That I agree.
Ingold leading you will get you to the linebackers. Now it's up to the running back to get past there, but usually with Ingold and our line, you could at least get to the linebackers going. The thing I hated too was that whole fake. I'm going to hand it to the right, option to the left. It's like, bro, okay, it works once. Don't fall in love with the play, man.
Not only that, you're losing vital seconds, just a second there and stuff like that.
7 yards behind the line.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the bubble screens. It's like, why are we throwing behind the line of scrimmage when we have all these playmakers and speed guys that throw it up to go 2 yards up the field? Don't go behind the line. Go up and catch the ball.
Yeah. No, those things I agree with you. I am not going to go
until I can sit there and say, okay, this is Mike McDaniel's offense and this is what everybody should be doing. I blame everybody. It's a little bit of everybody.
Same. I just don't want people to go ahead and give Tua excuses. That's all. Because we're not giving excuses to Mike. So let's just be fair and let's go ahead and blame and just keep it fair.
You can't give excuses to Mike until you know what his offense is. Are the players running the wrong stuff? Because it was hinted, if you remember at the beginning of the year, there was a number 94 that was doing his own stuff in the middle. And Fangio was like, there's nothing I can do when guys are going off script. Then he started playing in the defense, and you saw what happened.
Yeah.
No, I get it. It was against the bad teams, but then he started trusting in the defense a little bit more, and you saw a change. So how many guys are doing that on the offense? I don't know. So that's the part where, to me, look, Mike McDaniel wants to be buddy-buddy with people. You need to start calling people out, being like, hey, we would be more productive if 3 or 4 guys would actually do what they're supposed to do. You don't have to call everybody out in the thing, but just let it out there. If the quarterback called the right play, dude, yes, quarterback and coach can call each other out. I don't have a problem with that. But Tua's not going to be the guy that's going to call his coach out. And I don't think Mike McDaniel's that guy yet.
I think Tua needs to also grow up a little bit and be a little bit more vocal with his coach and explain to him, hey, maybe give me some of that responsibility. I was able to learn your system, right? This is his third year with the same playbook. So I hope to expect that he's able to go to his coach and tell him, hey, let me switch some stuff around. I hope he can, because this is his third year.
It's not a Shanahan thing. Brock Purdy doesn't have audibles. Brock Purdy don't have audibles. I can tell you right now, anybody that's played under Matt Ryan didn't even have audibles with the Falcons with Kyle Shanahan as offensive coordinator. It was a check with me system.
Well,
check with me. You can change the run play. You can check with me and return to the pass play. But all the plays are coming from the sideline. You can check to this play. You can check to that play.
It smells like TK and AEW all over again.
Straight up TK.
All right, Sean, I'm gonna let you go, man. And you've been on.
I took up your time, man. I appreciate it.
No.
My monitor. I got yelled at by the wife. She was like, "What are you doing?" This idiot here is just talking
passion, baby.
A bunch of stuff. And I'm like,
It's
I
the
tried to type it, but he's not reading it.
No, because you guys were going ham. Like, no doubt it's sending messages. Chad was sending messages. I was like, I'm just going because it's too many and they're scrolling up and down. I'm like, I can't read all of them. So I'm just going to freaking go with what I can, what I'm saying.
By the way, Tua, breaking out of his shell a little bit, has a party in Vegas, a Super Bowl, an EA Super Bowl party. It'll be himself, Darius Rucker, and somebody else. I forgot who it is.
Wow. He brings back the cornrows.
One other person. Hold on. Let me get my ex. I just shared it actually.
Yeah, he did. That's funny that he's doing that. I'm not gonna lie though. I see you, no doubt. I did like the Paramount Plus commercial though. I thought that was funny.
It's Tua, Hit Boy, and Darius Rucker.
Hit Boy, interesting.
And it's the EA Sports Super Bowl after party to be headlined.
Hopefully this gives him more swagger, man. He doesn't have that swagger yet. He's missing that.
But I feel like that you've seen a little bit more of that now. Again,
it is coming out.
It's there. It's just everybody's asking him, and the other thing, and I talked to Frank about yesterday, and I know we got to get going, but he was a quarterback under Nick Saban. Name a flashy Nick Saban quarterback.
Nobody, man.
I'm trying to think. I would have to look at it because I got to look at the old school.
I'm just going with this. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, he's not. Tua. But Jalen Hurts is a little bit more vocal than Tua, that's for sure. But he wasn't there the whole time in Alabama. He went to Oklahoma, so maybe he learned it in Oklahoma. Yeah.
Okay, Bryce Young.
And you go back there. I mean, Bryce Young.
This guy, the one from the Patriots. What's his name?
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Jesus Christ, for his name.
The one from the Patriots, Nick?
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Forgot his name.
Yep, Bench Boy. That's what we call him. Bench Boy.
Yeah.
What was his name? Mac
Jones.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Mac Jones, right?
Yeah, Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Here's another one who he isn't as vocal either.
It's one of those things when you look at the quarterbacks that came out of Alabama, none of them have been.
They're all soft.
They're all that way, dude.
They're all soft, man. But that's why we made a mistake. We went with an Alabama quarterback. We should have not gone with an Alabama quarterback. Give me an Alabama quarterback that has been successful and won a Super Bowl. I don't think we have anything out there.
I mean, come on, you can do that with a lot of schools, though, bro.
No, but keep in mind, Alabama the last 15, 20 years, they've been the number one team out there. Let's keep it real.
Yeah,
but you would expect them.
If you look at it, it's because of their quarterback play.
Huh?
It's not because of their quarterback play.
No, but
make a couple big throws. It's Derrick Henry. It's you name the running back. It's their.
Yeah.
It's always.
I mean, if you want a running back, you get him from Alabama.
Oh no, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
Because by the time you get them, they've already got like 10,000 carries.
Derrick
Henry's an anomaly, dude. I honestly, when they drafted him, I was like, they're going to get like 2 years out of him, and he's going to be.
But look at Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake wasn't bad for us.
He had over 500 carries in college.
God,
think about that, bro. 500 carries in college. That doesn't even count little league, high school, college. 500 carries before you get to the pros and be getting hit by these big guys.
Okay, check this out. You had Derrick Henry. He's a freak of nature, right? Najee Harris.
Yep.
He's been productive.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs. He's been productive. I'm looking who else. Kenyon Drake. He was productive with us while he
I
was
don't know.
there.
They got very productive guys, but not brute.
Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah, that's the guy that I forget about Gibbs, but he was in a committee, running back committee. They had like 3 guys when Gibbs was there.
TJ Yeldon. He's not bad either.
No. They got again. It's
Mark Ingram.
he's all right. Yeah,
No, Mark Ingram was a good running back, bro. Come on, and he lasted a while too.
but he also changed his game to where he caught out of the backfield
True.
with the Saints. Yeah,
Yeah. But all right, Sean, we're gonna let you go.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk. Thank you so much
I
for
love
coming.
the passion, guys. I love the passion, man.
Hey, Trapio, take it easy, my friend.
You
That
too,
way,
Sean.
that is the way.
All right, bro. Later, man.
Take care, Sean.
So that was cool. That was cool to have Sean there. I knew Sean wanted to jump on, but let's jump on and try to finish because we've been on for 2 hours, so we gotta kind of end this. So talk a little bit quick about the Miami Heat. Miami Heat basically they won. Oh, thank God they won. I don't know if I won.
They won 116 to 104.
Talk to me. What happened? What happened with Jimmy? Tell me how many points did Jimmy get? Please tell me he got 21 points.
Triple double, 11 wins, 11 assists, 17 points.
Oh man, Jimmy.
Actually, the leading scorer was Tyler Hero, 10 for 15, 4 from 7 from the 3, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 24 points. And then right behind him was your guy, Super Bowl player, Bam Adebayo, 10 for 14, 5 rebounds today, 20 points.
Damn, man. I missed my parlay.
Missed my parlay because I had Jaime Jaquez doing a steal and he did not get a steal. And I also had Bam Adebayo getting more than 8 rebounds or more, and he did not get that. So I missed it by
So my parlay was, look at this. I had Donovan Mitchell scoring enough threes. He did that. Jared Allen got me the points, but then the Cavaliers did not win by. Did the Cavaliers win or lose? Because
I believe they. I'll tell you right now. That's right, no doubt. Heat are back. That's what I'm talking about. Cavaliers did win. They beat Washington 114 to 106.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? 114 to 106.
Yeah,
they beat them by 8 points.
Wow, and you needed them to beat them more by 9.
I needed them to beat them by 10, bro. Oh my God, no wonder I missed that one. And then the other one that I missed, but that one was the $10 bonus play. I had Victor Wembanyama with over 9 rebounds, which he got me that, but then Jimmy Butler couldn't score 21 points. God damn it. Frustration all around. But on a side note, we're not going to talk too much about the Heat. The only thing we did want to bring up was Highsmith. Unfortunately, some news came out recently was that he was involved in a car accident. I don't know how or what is going to be the extent of this situation, because now the news that we have on the accident, and I haven't looked the last thing I did was look at it when I was when we were getting on, which was the fact that it was a person helping out another person on the road, and then all of a sudden, apparently, he hit the person that he was helping, and the person was in critical condition and had his I believe his leg amputated, like a portion of his leg amputated. So a little bit concerning about that for Highsmith. And here's the crazy thing. Highsmith did not get injured, so he's not injured, and there is no arrest for Highsmith. But here's the concern for Haywood. What was he doing? For you to hit somebody on the road, it typically is not because the person gets in front of you. You understand me? Unless that person was helping somebody. So I highly doubt that somebody got in front of his car. My concern, Nick, is maybe Hayward Highsmith was probably. I don't want to assume. I don't want to speculate, but for you to hit somebody, and that person was just helping a bystander who had their car, I guess, broken down. I hope Hayward Highsmith was not, under some type of influence or something which kind of could have affected his or impaired him while he was driving. And this could develop to be something even way bigger than what it initially can be. So I'm afraid about that, man. What do you think?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm happy that there was, no casualties involved. There was a critical injury, so hopefully that person um is able to recover smoothly, and much prayers to him and his family, or her. I'm not quite sure if it was a him or a her, but when it comes to Highsmith, yeah, it seems like the story is still developing, and we'll find out a little bit more details on what's going on with the whole scene. But the first reaction that you would get when you read a story like this is, yeah, someone being a little bit impairment when it comes to um, driving under the influence, maybe, or you never know. We're all glued to our phones and might have been multitasking, and he probably just
That's
like,
another that could be a point. I
I,
finally I got the note. It says Hayward Highsmith reportedly struck an individual who was assisting another driver stranded on the road Tuesday night. The victim is in critical condition and has sustained a partial amputation of his
wow.
leg. So prayers for everyone involved.
Yeah, hopefully everything goes out well. But yes, I think this is still going to be a developing story, and we'll hear more about it. I doubt we're going to see Hayward Highsmith in the next couple of days, while this story develops.
Yep. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about, of course, is soccer. Soccer talk. It was some big news that happened this past weekend, and that's the World Cup finally made its announcements of
Woo-hoo.
where the games are gonna be held. So one of the biggest and most productive things that they informed us was where we're gonna be the initial first couple games, and the first team who will be playing at the World Cup this year is none other than Mexico, and Mexico will open up the World Cup
I like
June
that.
11th at El Estadio Azteca, right?
Azteca. Yep.
So it's classic, Maradona World Cup over there. So that's a huge monument, a big step for Mexico. And then the next day, you actually have Toronto, Canada, hosting their first World Cup game ever in their history. And then later that night, the United States will go ahead and host their game in Los Angeles. So we got Mexico City, Los Angeles, and then Toronto, where Drake is very well known. So very exciting for those three spots. I hope we don't have to travel all the way to Los Angeles if Colombia makes it. But at least we know that the United States will be going ahead and playing in that initial game in Los Angeles. The second thing that went a big on the World Cup side was the simple fact that the final will be held in New York, New Jersey, and MetLife Stadium. Now, one thing that a lot of my friends were telling me is like, "Hey, isn't MetLife Stadium worth turf?" Which they are, right? So I guess I'm assuming they're gonna change that turf to grass. They gotta
Yeah,
be.
I wouldn't be surprised, especially for the World Cup adjustment. If there's some sort of majority agreement, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of bend the rules a little bit on the when it comes to the field on MetLife.
Yeah, I mean it's good. I have it would be nice, and that's why I have up there the two little flags of Colombia. Hopefully, I could go ahead and give them a luck, and they can make it to the finals of the World Cup. So on July 19th, the World Cup final being held in New York and New Jersey. On a plus side for South Florida is the fact that South Florida actually was able to get the third place game, which is actually cool because we actually got the Copa America final this year. And now Steven Ross stepping it up and is able to get us the third place game, which is pretty cool. It's nice to see that we're able to play that. And here's a list of what's happening. Not only does Miami get the third place game, but we actually get a quarterfinal game as well. So
Oh, that's badass.
so we're quarterfinals is gonna be in Los Angeles, Boston. They misspelled Kansas City. But that's cool. We were there, right? We've been to Arrowhead Stadium, so that's cool
Mhm.
that they're gonna have a soccer game there. And Hard Rock is gonna have the quarterfinals. Then you have the semifinals is gonna be at AT&T Stadium and Mercedes Benz, and then obviously the final is gonna be at MetLife. I think the one that kind of like got screwed here was Dallas, because a lot of people were saying Dallas was going to be AT&T Stadium was going to be the one that was going to be hosting the final, but it ended up being
Another
New
another
Jersey.
another city that kind of got screwed over was Las Vegas. That they have a really nice Allegiant Stadium. It's a pretty big but I mean at the end of the day, it's Las Vegas. I understand why they wouldn't go ahead and do it there.
I mean, it's going to be pricey. So we'll see how the Super Bowl does, because everything right now in Las Vegas is pretty pricey. The other thing I wanted to show was all the cities that were actually being um, used for the World Cup. And as you can tell, you got New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, San Francisco, Miami, Atlanta, Seattle, Houston, Boston, Philadelphia, Guadalajara, Monterrey, Mexico City, Toronto, Vancouver, and Kansas City. So those are the cities that are going to be hosting the World Cup. And on a positive note, when it comes to here in South Florida, Miami is going to be hosting 7 games of the World 7 games of the World Cup. So that's pretty cool. The city that's hosting the most is actually Dallas. Dallas is getting 9 games of the World Cup. So
I mean, it is a bigger tournament this turnaround.
it is. And thank you for mentioning that, because this year will be the first year that we introduced the round of 32. So now we're getting 104 games for the World Cup, and it's the best 2 teams out of the first group stage. And then, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I think it's the next 8 best third place teams that make it as well to the round of 32. So you have those in particular teams moving on to the round of 32. So it's getting a little bit challenging. It's a little bit more challenging because you have 32, then you drop to 16, then you drop to 8, then you drop to 4, and then you went to the championship. So now you have an extra game. So now you're playing 32, 16, 8, 4, and so you're playing 5 games in order for you to win in the World Cup. So that's gonna be a little bit tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, whoever wins this World Cup is definitely gonna be much deserving, because you do have to play an extra game in order for you to
Well,
actually.
moving forward, because this is a permanent change.
Yes. And then with that being said, me and my brother are doing parlays left and right. Here is the stats of the odds makers as to who's gonna win the World Cup. So this year, as of right now, we got France the favorite to win it at plus
Brazil?
500. Brazil, with all the complications that they still have,
Crazy, bro.
they still have them at plus 600. England 700, Spain 1,000, Germany 1,000. Why do they have Germany up there? Germany's still kind of not that good. Argentina, the defending champions, are at 1,000. Portugal,
You would think Brazil would Argentina would hop over all those countries. Maybe
hell yeah. I would probably have France and then Argentina second. Like, that would be my
defending champions. What do you-
Yeah, that's
Like-
kind of like a slap in the face to Argentina. The United States is on there, 2,500 plus 2,500 for the United States to win the World Cup. It's the same. It's better than
What?
Belgium.
Get out of here, United States. Oh my god!
It's
I
better
mean,
than it's better
I
than
like-
Belgium, Uruguay, Croatia, and Denmark. Nick,
that's
not
crazy.
bad. Are we betting on the United States to win the World Cup, sir?
Of course, man. Red,
Well,
white, and blue, sir.
We're definitely gonna lose our money if we do that. But it's
Wow, hey,
it is, sir. It is. It is. It's not set in stone that I don't think the United States will do really well in the World Cup. But hey, man, things can change. We'll see. We'll see. Copa America is gonna be the first adversity this year. And then obviously the last thing we wanted to talk about was, of course, Inter Miami. Inter Miami once again goes down and loses tonight. Well, early on this morning, they had a
no, they tied.
game.
They lost or they tied.
They tied 0-0, but apparently they went into penalties and they lost 43 in penalties. So I don't.
Friends.
Where is this team from? Is this from Hong Kong? This team? It's Vissel Kobe.
I think they're from China.
I don't know, because I know that they played before that match. Inter Miami played Hong Kong. I think that was the team that they played before. Let me look it up. Because I know they won 1-0, I believe. No, they won 4-0. See, I'm sorry, 4-1. They beat Hong Kong. I guess that's 11. Yeah, Hong Kong 11, I think, or Hong Kong 6. I'm not too sure about that Roman number. I'm not that good with Roman numerals when it comes to that number there. But it looks like so they had before they won that game, they had lost 6-0 to Al Nazir without a Cristiano Ronaldo. They lost to Al Hilal 4-3. They lost to FC Dallas 1-0. They tied to El Salvador 0-0. Talk to me, Nick. The season's right around the corner. They have one more friendly, which is against an Argentinian squad, Newells. That's taking place this Thursday, and then the season starts. The first game of the season against Real Salt Lake. Nick, talk to me, man. Are you concerned? Do you think Inter Miami is going to struggle this year?
Nope. I feel like the team is just trying to find the chemistry, and right now I rather see this now than in throughout the season. Make the adjustments and move forward from here. There's still it's preseason, bro. I'm not gonna stress about it.
Memo said, "Hey man, put me on, bro. He wants to get on, but if I bring you on, this stream is gonna go for 3 hours. So we'll do this. I'll. How about if you get a chance, come. We'll bring you next week, and we'll talk, and we'll have you for as our guest for next week. That way, we could talk a little bit more on the soccer side of Inter Miami because we've been going at it for 2 hours and 15 minutes, man. Jesus, this is what happens when me and Sean get on. We're gonna keep going at it one on one, and then it's never gonna end. But definitely, Memo, I'll have you next week, if you're free, and hopefully you feel a lot better as well. But yeah, I think overall in general, Inter Miami is a concern. I know people are saying it's preseason, but my biggest concern is the fact of how they're losing. They're letting a lot of people score in them. So the defense is already going to be a question. It was already a question with Miller. I thought Miller sucked, and I still think Miller sucks. But it's sad that even though we got rid of Miller, the guys behind him are even worse. So, I think Inter Miami may have made a mistake and invested too much on the offense and forgotten about their defense. And now that might bite us in the end. So, I don't know, Nick. What do you say? You think Inter Miami they're gonna turn it around at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, man, bro, they have quality players. If I'll start panicking if it's like 10 games in and they're I don't know three wins and like
7 losses.
7 losses, some type of thing like that. Yeah, but if they're like 5-1-3, I wouldn't be panicking. I feel like this team is just trying to get everything acclimated, and once Messi needs to turn up a notch, he'll turn up the notch. So I'm not too worried.
And remember though, Messi has been hurt, dude. He has a lingering injury. So and Messi's up there in age. So now not only are you dealing with a shaky defense, but an injured Messi.
Well, then this is what Inter Miami should do. Inter Miami should just tell Messi, yo, stop playing Argentina games. Don't play in the Copa America. Don't play in the World Cup qualifiers. Just use all your energy for the MLS. You have nothing else to prove in Argentina. Just focus on MLS.
I 100% agree with you. That is probably the best advice they could give Lionel Messi. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, I think that will end our show. Don't forget to follow us on all social media. Fresco Music on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, on YouTube, Frankie Fresco, and then obviously, don't forget to follow my brother DiTrapio. Talk to me. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ThatWayNick, or you can find me on my. Sometimes I like to stream, on Twitch, playing a little bit of EAFC. I'm at DiTrapio, as you see right there. Oh, whoops. The other way. Yeah, right there. DiTrapio. And don't forget to hit the like button. We really appreciate everyone who viewed and tuned in for tonight's show. We really appreciate everything you guys do. And I appreciate you, Fresco, for having to talk about sports and be passionate about the teams that we like and stuff like that. So,
Nick,
and I also want to
ahead.
give a special shout out to Big O. As you know, he had some sort of medical procedure today, so hopefully he's on a speedy recovery as well.
It's really nice of you. Yeah, big shout out to Big O, especially we always tune into him, and he had his surgery on his foot, so I know that he is hopefully getting better. I know that he's not feeling any pain because he's on that meds. He was talking about that earlier today, but I hope he's able to recover as soon as possible. And if you do see him, or if we do see him, I'll make sure to at least give him a hug. Hopefully he's not feeling any pain, because I know that could be a pain in the ass. I know my brother knows very, very well
Yep.
what that is to have a surgery on a foot. But to end it, sir, talk to me, man. Do you have a quote?
I have a goal from someone in particular.
Talk to me.
He's not, you know, widely popular, but he did have a quote that really stuck out to me, and it was by Steve Jobs. The most important thing is to enjoy your life, to be happy, and all that's matter. And I think that's something we have to always remind ourselves. You know, we work very hard, and we take a lot of our time trying to reach our goals and reach our achievements, but also take a seat back and kind of look around and enjoy the moment too, because life is supposed to be happy, man. And hopefully everyone out there is having a peaceful, so far beginning of 2024.
Awesome, man. I love it as well, man. And big shout out to all of you guys who tuned in on the chat board. Memo, No Doubt, Chad, obviously Sean, the unexpected guest tonight. Unfortunately, our other guest was not able to make it. He was probably at the game, knowing him, but hopefully we could bring him
Parlay Oscar.
Yeah, Parlay Oscar. We wanted to bring Parlay Oscar, but Parlay Oscar, he probably won his parlays and he's partying it out. So that's probably why he wasn't able to make it to tonight's show. But hopefully he'll make it. We love Parlay Oscar because Parlay Oscar always does parlays and he never loses. So we gotta love Oscar. But thank you so much to all you guys. Thank you again for hitting that like. Thank you so much for hitting that subscribe. Don't forget to share with all your friends and all your family members, everybody you can. And of course, don't forget to check out our shorts. I'm doing shorts for our Speak the Unspoken segment. So check out my brother. He was the last one who had one. I'll be uploading one sometime this week. And then we'll keep doing it every week. Try to give our take, and if you guys don't agree with it, you're more than welcome to go ahead and either hit that dislike or hit the like or comment on them. That's what we're here for. So from all of us here, Let Me Talk to You podcast, we will see you next week, and take care, guys. Peace.
Let me talk to you.
The biggest icon in wrestling.